Hello, everybody. How are you? It is me, Demetra Kaye, and I'm sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq. And this is the Demetra Kaye Show because it's Sunday, right? So, anyway, I know Donovan's been around in more than one way. I'm just kidding. No, Donovan's been around, but I've been missing in action. I actually had to move and, do some other things. And so I missed two shows, but I'm back. So we're going to have what I call a Sunday salad bar so we can talk about a whole host of things that have really happened since I have been off of here. And I know you guys have really been wanting to talk about these things as well. So anyway, I'd like to also say thank you to Marcus Guyton for everything he does behind the scenes to make the show go further on Facebook, and a big giant hello to YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You all are not just viewers, but you are participants as well. And this is probably one of the only shows that reads each and every comment because we feel like you should be heard too, right? We're having a conversation. And the purpose of the Demetra Kaye Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even. And so today we are going to be talking about R. Kelly. Again, I've been gone, so we're going to have a little small conversation about it. And it is my goal to get to all the topics. We're going to talk about little Nevaeh Allen. A lot of you have probably heard that story, but if you haven't, I will put you abreast of what's going on. And then we're also going to talk about Joe Biden and his shenanigans with the package that was just passed, right? Like, to avert a shutdown, a government shutdown. So we'll get into that. But before I do, let me say hello to everybody, and I'll give it to Donovan, and he can give y'all his thing. Moni, how you doing? Says happy Sunday, gorgeous Demetra. Donovan, much Detroit love to you both. Thank you for keeping it real. Always, I appreciate you and adorable. For you, thank you so much. Thunder, how you doing? Yes, I'm ready to leather and luxury cars. What's happening? And Eli, you said you want Thunder. You said you want some Southwest style salad. Okay, how you doing, Eli? And Ice, what's going on with you? And Kevin, how you doing? All right, so Donovan, what say you before we get started?
Well, first thing I want to say is welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hope everything's working out for you. I held it down. 50,000 people have signed my petition this week alone. So we will do our best to get you off the air from waking these folks up. It is, by the way, your favorite time of year. October, Michael Myers, Dr. Loomis.
You see me with my Michael Myers shirt on yesterday?
Yes,
I even have a Michael Myers doll.
See, so there we go. So during this time, everybody, Demetra will be playing Dr. Loomis as she solves and unsolves all of these riddles and problems that are out there for us. Okay, so that's what we're gonna. So welcome back. We hope everything is going great with you over there. And I want to thank you guys for bearing with me Friday and helping me get through the chats and all that other stuff, because as we know, Demetra's a little bit more versed on reading the chats more so than I am. But thanks you guys for helping out. And it was a great conversation, by the way, that we had. So real quick, you guys have heard that Joe Biden has given Afghans, people that aren't even citizens, $6 billion, no questions asked. Qualified immunity could not get done after 6 months of negotiation. And do you know what chaps my hide about that negotiations for qualified immunity that's going to actually affect Black people? One lone Black senator on the other side was the one fighting to keep qualified immunity into the bill. A Black man. We just can't win for losing. We just can't. So let's get into some of these comments, get into the conversation. You guys, it's Sunday, and if it's Sunday, that means it's Demetra Kaye.
All right, y'all. So hello to everybody else who came on here. Let's see here. Demetrius and Olivia, Travel with Khalifa. How you doing? Eli, you say you were going as Homer Simpson or Rick and Morty. Okay, I actually like watching Rick and Morty. And of course, The Simpsons is from my generation, if you will.
And you guys also know Rick and Morty is based on Back to the Future, right?
Yes. And the Pioneer was going on. He said, man, what restaurant was that salad bar? And you know what? The picture did say it was Houston. I just went and got it off of, images from Google. He says, I might have to check that out. Check it out moving there. Yes, well, come on. And thank you, Marcus, for sharing the link. If you guys are on Facebook and you're watching this show, you can click on the link and I'll be more than happy to read your comments. And Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, who was the black man who was fighting to keep qualified immunity in the bill? Was it Tim Scott?
Tim Scott, absolutely.
So Tim Scott, a Republican. All right. So anyway, y'all, Monet, what's going on? So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's get started first. Okay, as you guys know, the other day, R. Kelly was found guilty, and it sounds like he was, and Kevin, if I didn't already, hello, how are you? He was found guilty for, I guess they call it racketeering, and they actually used the Mann Act, which entails trafficking, human trafficking people across different state lines. Now, the Mann Act was actually used for Jack Johnson back in the 1920s, you know, the boxer who was married to a white woman, and the authorities, the feds, whoever, didn't like it. Now, Jack Johnson was one of the wealthiest people around and one of the, you know, wealthiest boxers. He was the world heavyweight champion and all of that, you know, so of course they didn't like seeing him with all that money, cars, fur coats, and that white woman. And so they actually used the Mann Act to convict him of human trafficking for being with a white woman.
And real quick, the man that was specifically put on Jack Johnson to do that, J. Edgar Hoover. Isn't
Correct.
that strange?
Yep. So anyway, that's what R. Kelly was, they used on R. Kelly, and so he was found guilty. The trial lasted about 3 or 4 weeks or so. A lot of testimony and stuff. Sounds like some things we knew and some things we didn't know. But anyway, a lot of people are glad that he has finally been sentenced and he will face the music, if you will, no pun intended. And a lot of people are very upset. A lot of people feel like, you know, R. Kelly is a pawn and he was a big catch, if you will, like Bill Cosby was for Me Too. A lot of people felt like he was railroaded. A lot of people also felt like the parents and his handlers and the record executives and a whole host of other people should also be found or held responsible for all of the things that happened with some of the victims. Of course, some people are saying that the victims weren't really victims because they knew and they were of age and this, that, and the other. So there's a whole lot of opinion going on out there. And needless to say, R. Kelly is facing trials, I want to say, in 2 or 3 other states. So, you know, it looks like if he does not win his appeals and he is found guilty in the other cases, that he will probably spend the rest of his life in prison. Now, I have seen rumors, and I don't know how true it is because, you know, nobody's really heard from R. Kelly, but he's supposed to be dropping dimes on a whole lot of other people who were complicit in some of the things that he was doing. And so I don't know how true that is, but it definitely makes for an interesting conversation. But, you know, I want to know you guys' opinion on it really quick. I've always said this, okay? I've always known about the things that R. Kelly was doing since the early not me, okay? I actually know somebody who was actually in a group with him before they became was it R. Kelly and the MGM or whatever it was?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, when they used to do Star Search and stuff like that.
Now
Yeah.
it calls Big Break. So
Right.
they won that. So they knew him, and you know they said those were the things that he engaged in, right? And so I wasn't new to that. Of course, I read a lot about it from that of Jim DeRogatis, who is I don't know if he still is, but he's a reporter for the Chicago Tribune. And he and a lot of other people who worked and knew all of these things. And he also said working the R. Kelly case made him really understand that nobody cares about Black women and girls. He said the world over cares nothing for Black women and girls, because had it been a bunch of white girls, that R. Kelly would have been under the jail a long time ago. And so I believe that R. Kelly is guilty of a lot of things that he is accused of. I believe that R. Kelly was comfortable, if you will, in doing the things that he was doing, even after he married Aaliyah, even after he was found not guilty for the 14-year-old, you know, girl and all of that. So I believe R. Kelly is guilty of a lot of things. I don't know about all, but definitely a lot of things. But even if he's guilty of one of those things, it's a no-no. And, you know, eventually that was going to catch up to him. So Donovan, what say you before I get to these comments?
Well, like I said, I just want to get into the comment because everybody is just licking their chops, and I know I'm going to learn a lot from the people in the comments, but I put it in the comments as well. If they convicted him on racketeering, okay, racketeering is a criminal enterprise, which means it just isn't the CEO and the head of the company. It's other members of that. So if he's convicted of racketeering, where is the CFO? Where are the other people involved in this conspiracy? Just like they're doing with Donald Trump right now in the Trump enterprise. Now, all the elements to arrest Trump are there, but they won't do it. You want to know why? He's a white man. He was the president, such and such. But in a racketeering case, if that's what they're going to use, why is he the only one on trial?
So that's a good question. And from what I heard, I don't know how true it is, from one of the lawyers that was in the case, it sounds like there are some more indictments to come from people who were involved, from his people and management and all of that. So that's what they say. How true it is, I don't know.
Yeah, I've never seen a prosecutor go to trial just for the head of one enterprise without indicting all the other people involved with it.
Well, yeah. I think in essence, they got who they wanted, right? So, all right, Kevin, you say, I have worked in the criminal courts in 4 states, and I will not believe that a fair trial can be had for any African born in America, and that includes R. Kelly. His trial did not take place for justice, but to distract people from paying attention to all the government workers that are committing crimes against all people. You could be on to something. Marty says, I think he would be a sexy goddess, Demetra, and Donovan can play the character of a male dancer or a male vampire if you celebrate it or not. No, I don't celebrate Halloween. I just like the movie Halloween and Michael Myers, but thank you. Pioneer says, sis, I'm just joking. I might visit Houston, but I won't move there. It's too big and too hot. It seems to me like Los Angeles with New Orleans weather. You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. Look, I'm sweating. I probably should turn my air down or up to make it come on a little bit, but it is hot.
Well, so, you ain't that spring chicken you used to be.
Shit. Anita, how you doing? And Thunder says, the man at hell, now I'm afraid to take my wife on vacation across state lines. Well, hopefully she's legal. You know what I mean? Y'all ain't up to no shenanigans. Cordis, how you doing? It says they need to arrest the parents first before R. Kelly was touched. Yeah, I agree. A lot of the parents, they walked their daughters, up to him knowing who he was and what he was doing. So I agree with you. And also the Pioneer says, did I think racism was involved in the treatment of R. Kelly? Probably so, but I can't ride for black men who abuse black girls and women. Pointing at the fact that the white boys got away with it doesn't excuse it. I agree. Yes, because you hear that a lot. Well, what about Elvis? What about this person? Yeah, they're all, should have. He's dead. Paid, but I mean, it doesn't make it right,
Right, and then you also got to put in the element of the time element back then. Like what was, like when our parents used to discipline us, that would be considered abuse now. So back then, that was a normal thing to date a 13-year-old girl and marry her and interbreed and all that other stuff. So they make it a law now to where it's not acceptable. So you got to think of the times that these things happened.
Yeah, it was wrong back then, even though it was legal, and it's wrong now, right? And Funny says they said he was going to spill the beans on everything and everyone. If this is true, he might wind up like Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, I agree. Yeah, they ain't gonna let him make it if that's what he's planning on doing, right? Hey, Jonelle, how you doing? It says peace, Queen, Brother Donovan, and fam. And Mona says it gets to a point that becomes redundant in talking on what this man is not going to do. We know that Trump is not going to do it either. I'm just waiting on how much longer does God give or take or give justice. Okay. And then Donovan, you says if they convicted of a racketeering, then why wasn't anyone else convicted? A criminal enterprise encompasses more than just the head of the company. Yes, indeed. And Moni says, I like the colors of Halloween, but it's too much of a demonic persuasion. I used to enjoy Michael Myers. Maybe if he had a different movie, I can watch it. But the rest they can keep. It's all fiction. And now Corley says, right, Donovan. And Thunder says, that's right, Donovan. Just like the mob, they get everyone. Yeah, well, allegedly there's more indictments coming down the pipe. But because you think about it, right? You have all these people who are making these confessions. Oh, I saw this. I was there. I walked in on him and Aaliyah. And I knew he would bring these young girls. I mean, even Sparkle. Like, why is Sparkle, the singer that had like 1 or 2 songs? Because, they said the rumor is, okay, I want to say it's a rumor. The rumor is she actually set R. Kelly up to be caught with her niece, because the 14-year-old was her niece. And so I think she should be, answering some charges too. I mean, you took your niece to this man after we knew he married Aaliyah, and the word around town was that he liked young girls, because she even said that one time she went to the studio and her niece was there. She's like, "What you doing here?" And she never raised the roof or anything. So yeah, her ass needs to go to jail too.
Yeah, well, you got to remember there's a Chicago trial coming up, so she's probably going to be a witness in the Chicago trial.
But how are these people witnesses? It's not like you witnessed a murder and then you were afraid to say something. You witnessed kids being sexually abused and you did nothing. But then 25, however many years later, you get up, whether it's a television show or it's the witness stand, and say, "This is what I saw." So how are you, absolved of any wrongdoing?
And that's a really good question, everybody. Think about it. If you're like on your computer right now and you downloaded child pornography, you are going to jail right now. Now, these people allegedly saw a minor engaging in sexual acts and did absolutely nothing. So that's a very good question.
Yep. And let's see here. And the Pioneer says, "It's so wonderful to see you two together. It's been only a week and I've missed seeing and interacting with you two." Yes, well, I've missed you all too, but moving is a hell of a job. It's like, Lord have mercy.
Wait, I thought you were a minimalist. What happened to you being a minimalist?
I am a minimalist. I don't have a lot of stuff, but I do need necessities, right? Like a couch, table, a bed. Those things are heavy. Sunlight, how you doing? And the Pioneer, thank you for becoming a member again. I know you were having some issues. You guys can become a member too if you like. You can go to the member button or whatever and subscribe to or be a member of the channel. And Kevin says, Donald Trump, Matt Gaetz, and everyone else in Congress deals with sexing young women and girls, and the Black American community will give them a pass, but not an African born in America. And it's not clear why we get so outraged. Well, yeah, I agree with you on that. But again, I think I'm preaching to the choir, that these laws here in America aren't made to benefit Black people. When we realize that, I think we'll come to terms with some other things. Like Matt Gaetz, yes, there's a lot of witnesses, that says that he was messing with young girls and he also should be under the Mann Act because he was trafficking young girls and all of that. And Donald, Trump and all of them. But those laws were made to benefit white men. R. Kelly got a Hail Mary with that case with the 14-year-old where he was not guilty, made a song, all of that. He got a Hail Mary and he continued doing the same things as if he was not going to get in trouble eventually. And so...
And speaking of Matt Gaetz, he recently hired attorneys that specialize in sex trafficking or some kind of lawyers that specialize in the sex act type defense. So...
yeah, I mean, but you haven't heard it has just like, oh, well, he did it and that's next. And he's still working in Congress as if, he's done nothing or not been accused, right? And Antoine, how you doing? He says, hello, Queen Demetra and Brother Donovan and Room. And Mona says, so he's going to tell on many other singers and writers has been pedophiles with children, not teenagers, to reduce the sins. What a snitch, but I'm not surprised as he's facing life. Well, some people would say he's a snitch, but listen, if I'm going up the river for life, I'm going to have me a whole choir with me, okay? I'm having everybody, they're hand in hand with me. You know what I'm saying? Because to that, a lot of people didn't, and I guess I get it because of the nature of the crimes, but wasn't a lot of people who spoke out on his behalf, so...
yeah, and a lot of people get the definition of what a snitch is. A snitch is like me and Demetra, we rob a bank, and I tell on Demetra. I'm a snitch. Now, let's say Demetra and her daughter rob a bank, and I see them rob a bank, and I report it. That doesn't make me a snitch. That makes me a concerned citizen.
Yeah, I mean, why should I be in jail by myself? And one who cares, how you doing? It says, good evening, Demetra and Donovan. And Pioneer says, Demetra, how is your new home? Are you sleeping well in it? It's nice. I'm trying to get acclimated to it. I slept okay. I slept for a couple of hours, but it's an adjustment to say the least.
And same what happened to that dog.
Shut up. And Nastasha, how you doing? It says,
It's like an apartment in the Coming to America.
No. And you go from one place to another, and it's like, okay, what's that? What's that noise? What's that? And Nastasha, you say it's funny to me how these people are mad at this verdict, and to me, these are the same people calling little black girls fast when they are assaulted in the church or by uncles and stepdaddies. Exactly, and that's just something in not just our culture, but everywhere. But since we're talking about black people, that's something that we need to come to reckon with. We need to stop making excuses for those people. R. Kelly is not an anomaly. He is one of many who, assault young girls and women and even boys, right? And the family knows about it. The church knows about it. And they sweep it under the rug and say, well, we gonna pray about it. Will you forgive? Okay, let's move on and hallelujah. Or, we ain't gonna put our family dirty laundry in the streets. We gonna solve it. So you see what I'm saying? So it's nothing new. So I agree with you. Honeydew, how you doing? And Olivia, he says, they said the summer heat in Texas was dry, but I see it's as humid as Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, to me, it was humid. Montreal, how you doing? He says, is it true that he's supposed to snitch on other celebrities? That's what the word on the street is, but you never know until you hear from him, right? Corda says, but their parents were abusing their children. I agree, it is abuse when you walk them up to a known problem in the community, right? Tonight, how you doing? It says, good evening, Demetra and Donovan. And Moni says, I can say this much. R. Kelly did make some good music, but I will never defend a pedophile or rapist. But at the same time, he knew what he was doing was wrong, didn't care. I agree with you. I'm with you. And and Jonelle says, R. Kelly is guilty, and so is America, as well as the music industry who made profit off his music, especially age ain't nothing but a number. In fact, R. Kelly is a product of Made in America. The end game is revenue, yet Harvey Weinstein free. Hugh Hefner is an icon, not to mention all the rage that in that house. We have seen others go free for raping black babies. This is truly hypocritical. America just got one out of many, yet Joe Biden is their POTUS. Yes, and Joe Biden has been accused of, being sexually inappropriate with women as well. And he even stood up there and was for Andrew Cuomo stepping down. It's like, how do you find the audacity? How do you find the audacity? Chocolate Girl, how you doing? And Thunder says, oh, yes, my wife and I are legal. It says the states for immoral acts, and we both know they can say anything is immoral. You right about that? And Anastasia, you say one word immunity. Yeah, he could get immunity. That maybe that's what he's seeking, or maybe there's so many higher ups to where they'll say, wait a minute now, R. Kelly best to be free within the next 3 days because he know a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what he's aiming for. And Anastasia says that this happens all the time. Jim Jordan did the same thing. The gymnastics situation happened in the same way. Everyone knows, right? So it wasn't just R. Kelly, like, I got all these little secrets and I'm going to keep them to myself. Like, everybody knew, right?
Yeah, and I always have a question like this. And like I said, we're not talking specifically about women in general. We're talking about parents, okay? I don't care if you're a single parent or whatever. What parent is going to take a child to an R. Kelly concert?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people weren't that mad, right? Until their children was a victim. Pioneer says, yes, R. Kelly was a good music artist, and I still listen to his music. I separate the music from the man, just like I can watch and enjoy the movies made by racist Mel Gibson. Yeah, that's a lot of people, too. They said, I'm going to continue to listen to his music. And I think it's a personal decision. I personally haven't listened to R. Kelly's music in a while. It wasn't, because I wasn't not trying to, just haven't. But, well, actually, when I was in the car the other day, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number came on. I'm like, why are these people mad at R. Kelly, but they're still playing Aaliyah's Age Ain't Nothing But a Number? Be like, if you really listen to those lyrics, it's like, that was a baby singing that. So why are we still playing that? You know what I mean? So I kind of felt gross listening to it now that because when you listen to some of it, it's like, how did that go over our heads? And Ron Troy says, Demetra Kaye, are you still in Houston? Yes, I am still in Houston. Yeah. And that guy from Texas, how you doing? It says, peace, everyone. Olivia says, cable is a total waste. Yeah, I just have the internet. And Sydney, how you doing? Long time no see, but we're glad that we see you. And I hope that you are safe out there, because I know you were on the front lines with this thing still running around. And he says, wait, who is giving Matt Gaetz a pass? Well, you know, his folks. His folks. I mean, he's got a pass. Clearly, Congress is giving him a pass. They like mentioning
Donald Trump is giving a pass. You know, people that have old money. I mean, who's it? Robert Kraft. We haven't even heard any. We haven't even seen a picture of him being booked. People with old money get a pass. See, R. Kelly is that new money, and R. Kelly thought he was on that level.
And R. Kelly is a Negro. Okay. And let's see here. And Jonelle says they got a quota sniffing and touching on babies and little girls in plain sight, and yet people act like they're blind. Same people who saw R. Kelly for years. Yes, that's the word on the street. And Anastasia says, well, the Mann Act was against Jack Johnson, period, because he was doing up white women. How does no one know that it was the White Slave Act? Yes, yeah, and they used it on him, and they brought it right back out for R. Kelly. And Honeydew says, take them all down, and it seems like McDonald's allowed lurking. Oh, yes, because they said that he would be hanging out at the McDonald's. I guess it's a famous McDonald's in Chicago, and he would be there, you know, picking up young girls and stuff, and everybody knew. So,
yeah, you know, and here's a funny thing, a story for us. Like when I went to high school overseas in Japan, you would see these young Marines come to our high school to, you know, to surf on the girls, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I joined the military at 17, and I understand that. But once you leave high school, I don't care how old you are, you're technically a grown person at that point. You should not come back, at least on the campus grounds. We had incidents where Marines were coming to the high school to meet, you know, the girls. You know, these girls are probably what, a year behind them, maybe sometimes 2 or 3 years. You know, no big deal in the aspect. But the fact of the matter is, they're legally minors in the high school. And we used to fight the Marines and stuff that would come to the school. So it was also said that R. Kelly would go back to his old high school and, you know, visit, and, you know, the girls would come and, you know, buy his car or whatever, and, you know, he'd take them to McDonald's or whatever. So they had some people even at that school that he previously attended that are also suspect in his allegations. And Demetra, isn't his music teacher kind of knew he had a problem?
She knew. Yeah, she knew. And Anastasia says they better take notes from Daniel Hernandez. He sung like Aretha. And who was that? I'm not sure who that is. And again, if you guys are in the watch parties or on Facebook and you're watching this, click on the link if you'd like me to read your comment. And Primary says that the Black community need to develop a moral code that we all need to live by and stick to it. That way, when someone is out of line, you can call them on it and enlist the help of others to have you back. Yes, that's the way it used to be. And hey, Frank, how you doing? And LLPRS Most High, how you doing? He says, all praise the Most High. Yes, indeed. And Olivia says, people are going to speak on his behalf to keep themselves out of trouble. Yes, indeed. And NIE says, R. Kelly had accessories to those crimes. Yes. And you also say they enabled R. Kelly. Yeah, they enabled him. They didn't punch him in his throat like they should have when he was, you know, rolling around with little kids. They should have. You know, I don't think grown men or women, because there's a lot of women who saw it, I don't think they should have gave him a pass. I think they really should have clipped him in his throat and told him to knock it off, or we're calling the popo.
Have you guys wondered why he was hanging out in Trump Tower? Isn't that strange? You got a guy that also grabs him by the Gucci and has situations, and he was allowed to go into Trump Tower, knowing his past. You see what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. And Moni says, I also don't like the fact that neither one fails to realize that when they bring in all these foreigners, they're going to get tired of them and not going to work their mediocre jobs, which purpose, okay? And Anastasia also saying that no snitching, quote unquote, BS is from vicious criminals victimizing their own people. Damn that BS. I agree. Yeah, it's like some things need to be told on, okay? And Frank says the parents was taking them over there, locked them up too. Yes, indeed. And Kevin says people will always like having sex, and the young are the most anxious to get involved with what they don't understand. And lack of education, educating our children result in our children and young people being exploited. And I know that women do the same to our young men. Yes, there's a lot of young men who are sexually exploited as well by older women. And Thunder say, and don't forget about that guy, DJ Kid, Jason Pope. Yes, what happened to him? Says he was all on social media now in the open with it, and stated that he has a virus, yes, the HIV, if you will, that he was giving to young Black girls so they could spread it. Yes, I mean, he was also seen with a few celebrities and things like that. But yeah, that was what 2-3 years ago. What happened to him? Did he get sentenced? Is he out? Is he? I mean, even Hillary Clinton was in a photo with him. So yeah, the white dude was with all Black women and girls, and they were just so happy to be booed up with him, and it was like wow. But silence. And Amanda says Demetra doesn't have to be a spring chicken, but she still looks good and glowing, no wrinkles. Always wonderful, glowing, hydrated skin. Donovan, tell us how your trip was in the Dominican Republic. Okay. And he will toward the end. And Thunder says, spread it to young Black boys. And Frankie says, swept Joe Biden under the rug. Yeah, of course. I mean, y'all get the correlation. They're white. Okay, let's see here. I lost my place really quick. And let's see here. And then you also say, Frank, are you talking to Thunder? And Pioneer says, with R. Kelly's reputation now, maybe he'd be safer in jail than out in the general population unless he left the country. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to R. Kelly. Listen, there's a lot of people who are upset that R. Kelly is guilty, found guilty anyway, and he is going to jail. A lot of people are mad. Cindy says, and I'm wondering if he is about to drop the head of his label MCX husband. And Mona says, what's up, the Pioneer, top of the early hour to you. Okay, and Honeybee says, let's see how many people currently attached to R. Kelly got new leaves. And he says, like going gospel, going to church, donating, etc. Yeah, right. And the Pioneer says, I've been listening to R. Kelly since he was coming on singing about that vibe. Wow. How can I pinpoint about how old you are? And he says, oh, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. And Marty says, I will never again support any money in their music. I think you maybe say anybody in their music when it comes and when it harms innocent Black females and sometimes even males, even though this is my brother's, he's got great talent, but no thanks, he's wrong.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, but let me ask you this, Moni. You don't want to support, his music, but what about women that are putting out music that is hurting Black women?
And Cindy, you say Robert Kraft was let go on a technicality. Yeah, well, we didn't hear anything about it like publicly, right? I did.
Yeah, so, and we didn't even see a booking picture. He wasn't even booked.
There was one.
Was there one?
I think. Okay. And that guy from Texas says, who signed Aaliyah's marriage license at 15?
They said that one of the witnesses that testified said that he was the person that arranged everything and basically had, faked the whole shebang up and stuff like that. So he
was one of R. Kelly's handlers or people in his entourage or something like that. And he admitted to doing it. And Kevin says, and that age ain't nothing but a number. It's right in line with I look like a man, but I'm a woman inside. Mentally, because both statements are made acceptable to enforce the homosexual laws. Okay. And right. Sydney, you say, yes, we know Donald. Talking about Donald Trump. And Anastasia says he was doing a Roy Moore, except or he was banned from the mall. Okay. And Pioneer says the Mann Act reminds me of how we need to erase some of these laws because they are being used as a dragnet to entrap too many people. The term immoral act is too vague to be used in law.
See now Pioneer, on my show, on my podcast, and when me and Demetra first started way back in the day, we would talk about that, how they need to update these laws. Now you've got Black representatives, servants, public servants that are in positions that can change these laws, at least update them, and they don't do it. Do you know right now in the military, you could be put out of the military for adultery? It's still on the books. I mean, they've got archaic laws in them, but the military is a different situation. But they are noticing they have to upgrade. This isn't 1865 and they're fighting the Civil War. They've got to update the rules to where it's going to be applicable today. You can be put out of the military today for having an adulterous affair, engaging in sexual acts with somebody that is not your wife, so on and so on and so forth. It's just how they selectively choose how they want to enforce it. So in the civilian side of it, they have rules that were enacted from the start of this country, from slavery and all this other stuff. And these Negroes know these laws are on the books, and yet they do nothing to change them.
Absolutely. And hello, Randy, how you doing? And Cindy says, if you read the Chicago Tribune exposed in 2001, it was deep and disturbing. Yeah, that's probably when I know I read that one, and it was long and it was in great detail. And it was like, wow. Money says, but I noticed that his wife was very happy that he is convicted, and even though they're no longer married. She spoke over 2 years ago how he used to jump on her and choke her till she passed out. But you know what, though? I saw where she was conflicted because she said it was a children's father. But, glad that he's getting what he deserves. But at the same time, I mean, she knew that he was married to, Aaliyah, and she tries to claim that she knew nothing.
Hey, you're married to this man and gave him 3 kids. So we know at minimum, you're with this man for 3 years within the organization, and you knew nothing? Come on.
Right. And Montre says, have y'all seen Lil Boosie's movie yet, Donovan? I haven't. I heard about it, have not seen it. And Anastasia says, Tekashi 69 real name is Daniel. Oh, yes. Daniel Hernandez, yes, he told on everybody. And look where he's at now, free as a bird. And Cindy says, do you know what Trump Tower used to be?
I forget, because like I said, Trump leases his name, but at least it isn't the Cecil Hotel here in Los Angeles.
I don't know. Enlighten us, please. And the Prime Minister is another example of vague laws used to dragnet people as disorderly conduct. Any conduct out of the norm would be labeled as disorderly. We should demand the laws be more specific. Good point. And that guy from Texas says, remember Jeffrey Epstein and his kids, quote unquote, island. Yes, remember. And Jonelle says he lived in Trump Tower along with those girls. R. Kelly clearly has some info that he's going to use at this point if they don't erase him. Yep, I agree with you on that one. And one says, the end of the day, God has time. There is no such thing as judgment. We must repent our sins and our deeds and make peace with it. Change from our lifestyles and burn in hell. And Brother Todd, how you doing? It says, peace, Demetra and Don. And then he says, but R. Kelly. Damn, enough. The man has done no more time wasted on him. Besides, the Minister Farrakhan made a great point when he stated we have to watch how we criticize others whose reality is not ours. I know it's your platform, but hey, no, I agree, which is why we're about to switch topics in just a second. I'm going to get to the last comments here, but I agree with you. You know what's funny? Because I was just thinking that when I read your comment. So great reminder. Anastasia says we need a code for people like R. Kelly, but they're doing this in Africa too, and parents are sending their daughters to these old men. Oof.
Okay, wait, real quick. I agree with you, Anastasia. I was just in the Dominican Republic. The stuff that I saw going on down there, and I'm not saying it's just East Coast people. I was there from the West Coast, whatever. You got young girls down there engaging in stuff. It's called what is it called? Survival mode. They're in survival mode down there. So they're prostituting and doing whatever they got to do, and nobody's saying a word.
Yes, and Anastasia says, I remember Maya Angelou's sexual assault, and her assaulter was stomped to death by those. But these days, these dudes are super scary, and you can't stomp anybody in their skinny jeans, right? She says she believed her family got rid of them. He was no longer. And Cindy says, forge her ID. He also said probably is going. It says next charge is probably Jada. Probably, because they said that she was messing around with some kids too. Oof. Thunder says, and let's not forget that there are a lot of women out and aunt and female cousin who have sexually abused little and young boys. And some of these boys grow up screwed up and think this is okay and becomes R. Kelly. True. And Marcus said, really, R. Kelly is just like the buck being bidded on by the slave master. He was financially windfall for record companies and the media for decades, but just like the buck, when he had no more use and his records stopped selling, white people picked up the phone and called other white people and picked up and he said, you can have him now. Oof. Pioneer says, yes, sir, I heard you can be put out of the military for adultery, but it's okay if people engage in that act. As of now, we need a total overhaul of the military code of conduct and other law. The money says to make sure you didn't say if you're still in Texas. Yes, I'm in Texas. Or if you're going back to Cali, I think Cali would maybe be northern part, be a little bit better, stack up your coins. Oh, yes. Not yet. Nah, I'm still in Texas. And Michelle, how you doing? Says Sparkle wasn't the legal guardian. She had no control. No, she wasn't the legal guardian, but she walked her niece into that studio knowing who R. Kelly was. And she even said, I came in there one day and I saw her there and I was wondering, what are you doing here? Didn't sound like she raised the roof and snatched her niece up out of there knowing who R. Kelly was. So that's why I said, she is complicit. She should be.
Yeah, and you got to remember also the father of the alleged girl played guitar on a couple of R. Kelly's albums, and also during the first trial, they took money and were sent to Europe for months so they could miss the trial and stuff. So they're saying there's some malfeasance with the family as well, taking the money. And
they took money, which is why she didn't cooperate during the trial, from what they say. And Olivia said, oh yeah, the ratio of men and women is damn near equal now. Only the elders in their 90s are outnumbered. Look it up. And Sydney says Trump Towers used to be the whole strip, Russian women in the New York City. Okay.
Oh wow, yeah. And a matter of fact, I think in Florida and New York City, Russian women are coming to these hotels and giving birth there to do anchor babies and stuff. So.
Okay, I'm just setting up for my next little thing here. And Jonelle says, just think a man who had a whole island that celebs and political people and etc. used to visit for minors. Hold on a second.
But it does make you wonder when all these Black young girls become missing and these young minors just disappear off the earth. It does make you wonder just what Jonelle just said. How do they end up on these islands? Not that they all end up on the islands, but you got these islands that are private islands that certain minors go there and are there for the rich and powerful. Matter of fact, Prince Williams just got served a notice of intent to sue or something like that in regards to some allegations.
Okay, so give me 1 second here. I'm going to finish up the rest of these comments. So anyway, Sydney says, I just took the sex trafficking class. Interesting to find out as more Europeans that go to the DR for you men. Okay. And the Pioneer says, as Black people, we need to start deciding our own morals and stop letting white people tell us what is and isn't appropriate conduct. Will prostitution be all right if white folks legalize it tomorrow? And Moni says, where'd he go? Monte Donovan, a lot of women took their children, their nieces, and granddaughters to R. Kelly concert that I can recall in the 90s before it came out that even though he was briefly married to Aaliyah. And Sydney says, actually, if you read the Express, she meaning Sparkle told the expose, I'm sorry. She meaning Sparkle told the police ID her on the video and was ostracized by her family. Yes, I remember that. And Moni also say, I also want to say how they're trying to kill the news of what they did to them Haitians. They're saying that they have shipped them in other states and showing Mexico certain parts, taking them in. We're going to talk about that. And someone says, yes, these private islands never get a blink. And Thunder says, and those are the places that we know about. And Frank says, America let this go on at the end of the day. And Anastasia says, it's just like that movie in
Enter the Dragon. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's transition really quick. And so I will start the comments after this commentary here. So I'm going to play a clip for you guys and then I'll get into this. Okay. So check this out.
So what could have happened? I don't know what went wrong. I wish I would have stayed home from work. I don't know. I don't know. That's all I know. This morning I woke up, me and the van went to the store. I had to be at work for 8:15. I brought her to the corner store with me. I got her some snacks, some apple juice. We came back home. I finished getting ready for work. Nevaeh, the little girl, my little boy, and her daddy brought me to work. And that's the last time I see my baby. The last time I see my baby was before I went to work when I got dropped off. That's all. When I went to work, she had on her yellow dress with the pineapples on it, and she should have still had on that dress.
So what you guys just saw there was, hold on 1 second, give me 1 more second here. 1 more second. Maybe one day StreamYard will make this a little bit more easier for us to navigate. Okay. So who you see here on the screen is little Nevaeh Allen. Nevaeh Allen was 2 years old. She lived in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And that lady you saw is her mother. Now, on September 24th, Nevaeh was reported missing by her stepfather. So they arrested her stepfather, and he admitted to disposing of her body, but they didn't know what happened to her. And so that lady you saw, crying and all of that was her mom. So it was also discovered a couple of days ago that her mom actually murdered her daughter. What happened was the little baby here, 2 years old, was playing with her contact lenses before she went to work. And the mom, her name is Linnea, she punched her in her stomach, and then she fell and bumped her head. It also sounds like, she took her into the room and commenced to beating her some more. And then the stepfather took her to work. And when the stepfather came home, he says that he tried to feed her, but she was unresponsive, and before she became unresponsive, was complaining that her stomach hurt, and she became unresponsive. Then it was discovered that he then put her body into a suitcase and took her to Mississippi. I guess because Mississippi and Louisiana are really close in some areas, and discarded her body in that suitcase in, I don't know, the woods somewhere. And the authorities said that more than likely little Nevaeh was still alive when he discarded her. So the mom and the stepfather have been arrested for second-degree murder. But so I covered the story on the African Diaspora News Channel when we didn't know what happened to her. We only knew that the stepfather had, said he disposed of her body and all of that. And so when I read what happened to her on Thursday, I was, just lying down and I was just reading the news, and I read it and I bawled uncontrollably because, for me, it's hard for me to understand what a 2-year-old child can do to deserve to be punched in her stomach and then, continue to be beat. Now, it's also said that the stepfather was abusive as well. Sounds like at one point in time, the baby was playing with some slime or something. Kids play with slime. And it got on the carpet, and he was screaming and yelling at her and made her hold the vacuum as he was cleaning up. And then I guess he got mad at her and threw the vacuum against the wall. And so it sounds like the mom knew the stepfather was abusive, and, the stepfather knew the mom was abusive. And the father, the biological father, had just dropped her off the day before and was, scheduled to pick her up the following Sunday. But then, of course, she goes missing. And so this is very upsetting to me. And it's very upsetting when any child, is harmed, even, and then eventually murdered for being a child, right? But it also brings me great pain. And I was telling my daughter this the other day, I said, I never really could see myself going to jail, but if I just had 5 seconds with that mom, I would probably catch a case, because she sat up there and bawled. It wasn't even no tears. It just clearly it was fake, right? But she knew what she did to her baby and just was leading people. Maybe she didn't know what the stepfather did. I don't know. But something needs to happen. Something needs to happen. I don't know the full story with the father, what his involvement was. Did he want his child? I don't know. I don't know all of that yet. But what I do know is a beautiful 2-year-old baby girl is no longer here and suffered a lot of pain due to her evil mother and her beta evil stepfather, who instead, because the authority said if he would have called or taken her to the hospital, she would have lived. But instead, he decided to do what he did. And so I don't even really know what to say, y'all. But, maybe we can have a discussion for the next couple of minutes about, like, what do we need to do as a community to stop our poor little babies from enduring this fate?
Now, this was the stepfather, right? They were married, or was he just like the boyfriend?
They're just calling him the stepfather. So I don't know if they were actually married or what, but the people who knew them said that was the stepfather.
Okay, well, I just want to say that, like I said, I mean, I heard about the story, but we hear about these stories all the freaking time to where we are now desensitized, especially within our community, right? But I do want to say this. What the freak happened to our women and our mothers protecting the children? Are we at a point, ladies, where you're so desperate for a man that you won't even do a background check or move this man in with you at the cost of the security of your children? And I'm not blaming you guys. I'm just saying, have we got to that point? Because I remember my mom being a widow. I used to feel so bad for my mom because no man came around the house. Nobody. And then one day she talked about she get married. We were like, what? What happened? But but you hear this story all the time. I mean, we got to start protecting our children. Go if you need to go get some ass, go to the hotel. If the guy can't pay for the hotel, that ain't the guy for you, ladies. That just ain't the guy for you. We got to get back to protecting the children at all costs, because I'm gonna tell you this, ladies, as a man, it's the same as the animal kingdom, especially if it's not our child. And I'm not saying men are like that in general. I'm just saying it's just the nature of it. We are not as engaged when it's not our own children.
Yeah. So most definitely, I think women should, be more cognizant of who they're bringing around their children. But in this case, the mom was a monster. She's the one that set the wheels in motion as far as, the baby not being here. Just a horrible, horrible person. Horrible. I mean, I can't even emphasize that enough without really just losing my mind. But anyway, let me get to you guys' comments. And that guy from Texas says, I heard about this. And Frank says, so you're talking to somebody else. And Moni says, but in the end, Jack Johnson lost it all because he chose to sleep with the white women, and he should have just left that alone. He had an opportunity to be with a black woman and turned his nose up at her. So, okay. Cindy says, also want to say, women, stop leaving your children with men that you don't know. I had a horrific case. Yeah, I mean, ain't no dangling that doggone good, right? You're leaving your babies with anybody. That goes for men too. I mean, there's women out there who mean your kid is no earthly good, and you think because she's got a big booty, and she's nice to you, that she's going to be nice to your kids. That's not the case. And Pioneer says, oh, that was Baton Rouge, my bad there, because I think he said it was in Texas, or close, but it was Baton Rouge. Yes, Thunder, it's crazy. And Smoke Town for Life, how you doing? Yes, I know. I hated to report that, but it's just it's things we got to talk about. And Frankie says, I figured that. And he says, I've been hearing about these stories more and more. Yeah, I mean, it's just, but did y'all see how cool? I mean, just how she had a pineapple dress. Knowing what she did to her child, it's oh my God. And the Pioneer says, so they left the little toddler alone while they drove off to work. That's what it sounds like, because she has other siblings. And the siblings, I guess, sounds like they also told the authorities when they were being interviewed, well, this is what happened. And we heard, I'm just paraphrasing at this point, but mom whooping her and, and yeah, so they left her. And
you know what I don't understand? There are so many resources out there for young mothers and women. You got you can go to school now, basically, as a woman, and maybe community college, whatever. And they got childcare right there at the college. You got all of these resources, and I'm not saying that I know what the resources are in Baton Rouge or whatever. However, it's amazing to me that there are resources out there, and how our community, who pays a lot of taxes for these resources, we don't even utilize them.
Right. Marcus, you say once again, when I look at the climate that Black people are living in worldwide, it saddens me that so many of us have to try and be wolves among sheep who pretend to be wolves. It is disgusting how so many of us fought so hard for Joe Biden and Kamala, yet we said silent and trying to make good on failed promises. At some point, we get the burns that we deserve because we keep sticking our hand on the same fire, knowing the results. Absolutely. And the guy from Texas, you say, reminds me of Malia Davis. Yeah, it's almost the same exact right, except for the mom in that case, she didn't get charged with anything. Pioneer says, this is why I say a lot of people have no business having children. Too many people want to believe in the biblical concept that everyone should grow up, get married, and have children. Wrong. I agree with you. I don't think everybody should have children either.
Yeah, Pioneer, I'm one of them. I should have never had children. I would have lived a great life.
And Antoine, yes, very sad. And Cindy says, a month ago, I had a 3-year-old boy. Similar story. It messed me up for a month. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, it did a number on me. Oh my God. Thunder says, this is horrible. And there are people who can't even have children and will do anything to have one. Yeah, I mean, you get to the point where you want to harm a child. And listen, I have a daughter and I've raised other kids. And I've been mad enough to want to punch one of them through a wall. But then there was that, common sense that says, okay, that's probably not a good idea, right? So the point that I'm making is you have human emotions, but you don't act on them. I'm sure it was very nerve-wracking to have her play with your contacts, but damn, really? And Marcus says, it's no surprise that we see Black children and children go through this in the country as well as worldwide. We are in a climate of hate and self-hate, especially in the Black community. We are the most self-degraded people on earth. We dedicate ourselves to being the worst we could be, and we take pride in it and celebrate the stupidity that we toss into the world. Once again, we are probably getting exactly what we asked for and deserve at this point, especially based on our interactions, to do better. Yeah, I agree with most of what you said, except for I don't think this is what you're saying, but no child deserves any of that. Someone says they'll be waiting on her in jail. I hope so. And Mona says, Demetra, as they're bringing in all these people to this country, they think that they're going to get cheap labor to go back to paying low wages, as they have already started in some states, due for a rude awakening. Yes, indeed. And Thunder says, are there any other children? Yes, I think she had 2 or 3 other siblings that sound like they're fairly young in the household. And Frank says, this is the 5th case I've heard of in a month. Yeah, it's like, what the hell? Pioneer says, we need an overhaul of the entire nation because cases like this happen every day all around the nation with irresponsible parents who abuse children they have no business having in the first place. I agree. Just like stop, right? And so, we hear a lot of men and people say, oh, women need to keep their legs closed. And Ayala has even said that when she says, especially in regards to Black women are out of order. Black women need to start keeping their legs closed. And so when you hear stuff like this, I hate to say it to y'all, but I agree. I agree. This is a perfect case. Like, if you're not going to treat the children right, why keep having them? You don't have one. You have 2 and 3 and 4. And you just...
By 2 or 3 different men. I mean, it's crazy. I put in the link, a good little place to go. It's called the Pink Book Lessons or something like that, where the lady talks about how, like, you'll see these women talk about, I want a certain man. And this other lady was interviewing them and saying, hey, you're making the same mistake over and over again. If a man had a choice, just like if a woman had a choice between a man that had $1 billion but had 3 kids, and then you had the same person but had no kids, who's that person usually going to choose? The one with no kids.
Facts, not feelings. How you doing? He says, I blame them. And Jafia, if I didn't already say to you, hello. He says, Donovan, the same question can be addressed to the father. Both parents are responsible for protecting their children. Yeah, no, absolutely. Both parents. And I don't know what the biological dad's situation was, but it sounds like he was involved in the life of his daughter.
Right. But, and Jafia, I'm not arguing with you or anything like that. Everybody comes up with this thing about, oh, well, both parents got to be involved. I deal in reality. And yes, both parents are involved, but are they both physically there? They're not. And especially in our community, let's just be honest. we're not together. You know, the father lives over here, the mother lives over there. So I'm not saying that the mother is the only one that has the blame on it. But the fact is, though, we live in a reality to where single mothers are the only parent in the home. That's all I'm saying.
And so, like I said, yes, we are well beyond that point long ago. A lot of females will leave their kids with anyone. Shame, damn shame. Ernest and Donovan, some women, just like some men, can care more about sex and sexual satisfaction than their own children, like Jody's mother and baby boy. They have a mama got to have some fun too mentality. Exactly. You know, mama got to raise the kids first. And Moni says, Demetra, I'd like to know your take on how they deal with the Haitians. I feel that this is wrong, that when they start asking the press secretary, she can answer, like, really talk on that. I will, with our third topic. Vaughn, how you doing? You say facts. The facts not feeling says the mothers are to blame. And, lost my place.
See, and I like what facts. I'm not saying they're to blame, but the thing is, though, you can't blame somebody that's not there. You know what I mean? And you know, and ladies, you guys always come back with the textbook answer. Oh, well, you know, blah blah. In a perfect world, whatever. We're not in a perfect world. The thing is, if the mother is the custodial parent and the father's locked up or at his job or fighting overseas, you can't blame somebody that's not there. You have to deal with the person that is responsible for the kids at the time.
No, absolutely. So let's see here.
You're at Pioneer. The Minister Farrakhan said.
Pioneer says, Mr. Farrakhan said that developing young girls really shouldn't be left alone with their own fathers. The mother needs to be around. Yes, I have heard him say that as well. Yeah, I mean, you got to be vigilant. And Anastasia says, I'm a step parent, but I never call them my step kids. But in regards to engaging with the kids, sometimes the other biological parent is a direct enemy to the step parent. Yeah, sometimes that is the case.
Well, you know, I'm just going to say this for myself. When my mom remarried, my stepfather had no jurisdiction in regards to what goes on between me and my brother and my mom. I mean, he was the dad being that figure, but when it came to decisions of our education and stuff, that was solely the responsibility of my mom. That was it.
Yep, and Frankie says, Lil Cameron got killed by his mom over a memory card. Yes, I actually covered that story as well on the African Diaspora News Channel. They said that she might have been having some mental issues, but yes, she killed him over a memory card that she thought he stole. And Olivia says, I hate to hear this. Yes, indeed. The facts not feelings. She says, yes. And Most High, you say, it's just a side effect of this satanic fraud of a democracy we're currently in. If you destroy the society, all of our other issues will fix themselves. Well,
amen.
And Anastasia says, it's odd you have to get a license to get a pet, but anyone can have a kid. These parents are not parents. They just had kids, and some take their anger out on the kid, even they aren't, even though they aren't with the other parent. Yeah, just sick and evil. Pioneer says, it amazes me how so many poor people who have no religion still don't believe in abortion. Why not? Most clearly didn't plan or even want their children. Just bring them in the world just because. Yeah, or put them up, you know, I hate to say that, but put them up for adoption. And find a family member, somebody who will say, okay, wasn't something I was trying to do, but yes, I will raise them opposed to you doing something horrible to them, right? Jonelle says these are savages. They don't know what mom and dad mean, just young fools with children, taking their emotions and ignorance out on the children they produce from the same emotions. People are destroyed for their lack of knowledge. Few are selecting those with rational minds. We must learn to settle down to a good choice. Exactly. People just, oh, he smells good. Oh, she's cute. And they just get together and don't even think about the other stuff. Like, damn, like if I get knocked up by this person, is this person going to be a good parent? Can I rely on, we just stop asking those questions, right? It's like you said, we're supposed to settle down to a good choice, but often a lot of people don't.
Well, you know, they're finding when you talk to a lot of these young ladies and people like that, they just have the baby and them and the father aren't together. That's because they weren't in a relationship to begin with. They're basically having city girl summer or whatever you call it, having fun and being independent women. And then, you know, the sad thing about it, ladies, is you young ladies, is you have to bear the consequences of that city girl summer if you don't protect yourself. I mean, I tell my nieces all the time, there's nothing wrong with having fun, but protect yourself. protect yourself.
Right. And Jafia, you say, I don't have any intentions of ever having children. I don't have a problem being mom, auntie to my nieces and nephews. Yeah, a lot of people are the same way, but at least you know that, right? And Thunder says, and no telling how she is treating her sons. These boys will become broken, weak, and fragile and let a woman run over him, and they will grow up to hate and despise Black women. Probably. And Jonelle, yes, you make a good point. Jody was grown. Talk about baby boy. Yeah, he was grown. It was time for Jody to go out and, make it do what it do, right? Get out the nest, Jody. Mom couldn't even do her thing because Jody was a grown old, mama's boy who, was impeding on what mama was trying to do. So, yeah, good point. David, how you doing? And say, on YouTube, a daycare worker snatched a 1-year-old out of the crib, slammed the child on the floor, breaking kids' legs. What can a parent do? Well, I can't tell you what I would do on here because I might get shut down, but it wouldn't be having a conversation to see what we can do to make things better. But that is horrible, which is why I took my daughter to daycare for 2 weeks, and I was like, nah, I'm good. Because it just didn't sit right with me. Like, I don't know what these people doing to my child, all of that. So, yeah, I didn't leave my daughter to daycare. I called my mama, my sister-in-laws, and just different people who could watch my daughter while I worked. And, it worked out, thank God. Marcus says, I agree so much that no child deserves this, but as Black people whose children are suffering the most, as long as we continue to turn a divided blind eye and pump our fists in fake efforts to do better, this will be a growing problem that is probably bigger than we know. Hell, we know that white Europeans and Chinese males ravage African children and boys and girls for sex. Yet we have no global outrage in the African community on a whole worldwide. No, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. We are not outraged, and we should be. But we are only outraged when it happens to celebrities, right? Or whatever. Like, we're more, and I'm saying we in general, are more outraged about R. Kelly than we are about Nevaeh Allen or Orrin and Orson, the two babies that are missing, two brothers, 3 and 4, who are missing in, I think it's Lancaster or somewhere like that, California, up toward the Bakersfield area. They were with adopted parents, and they're just missing. Been missing for 9 months, but nobody said anything about that. Nobody's outraged, but R. Kelly gets all the attention. But as I said before, and I agree with you, Marcus, we can't keep getting mad, talking about, oh, well, the white media doesn't cover our things. Well, we don't cover it. We don't care enough about what's going on with our own people. So, good point. Jafia says, Donovan, you can blame them for not being there. They will not go without blame just because they are not there. Poor excuse.
No, exactly. No, again, though, ladies, you guys control the sex. You guys control who you have sex with. You guys control all of that. So I hear what you're saying, but if you're having sex with irresponsible men, whose fault is that?
I hear both sides of the argument, and I agree. Nobody should be having sex with anybody who's irresponsible. But my thing is this too. Why can't you just be a responsible person she's having sex with? You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. I don't think anybody is off the hook. Yes, the woman's body and all of that. You should be careful who you're laying down with, but damn, be responsible, or at least be responsible enough to say, no, I don't want to lay down with you because I can't see myself having no kids with you.
Right. But at the end of the day, the women are the sexual gatekeepers. At the end of the day, I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming them.
Yeah, but she can't have no baby by herself.
Right, right. And you can't make a man be a father if he doesn't want to be.
To me, that really oversimplifies. You can't make him be a father. Nobody's saying make him be a father, but at the same time, you want to, not you, I'm just saying in general, blame women for not having, the wherewithal, whatever, to say, you know what, I don't want to have sex with you, you're probably not responsible. But then the man is like, well, where do they get on the hook? Where do they get on the hook? And you say, well, look, dude, because you're probably going to be at the child support office, in 9 months to a year, crying about how she's digging off in your pockets. Why not say, hey, if you don't want to have a child with this person, don't put your thing in this person.
Right. I agree. Absolutely. And again, how it evens up. The man ends up in child support. He ends up in jail. He ends up with his license being taken
Whose
away.
fault is that?
No, that's his fault. That you asked me where does it even up? That's where it evens up. That's where it evens up.
I don't even know if that's even because I mean, ended up in
What
jail.
I'm saying is the consequences. That's where the consequences come in for the men. But if you don't stand up and do what you're supposed to do and take care of your responsibilities.
And the point is not to make light of the serious situation, but to use your analogy, this will never happen to even one of Glow genes, 15 children. Nowadays, these women can't even raise one child, right? And don't want to, you know? And the real LOC, how you doing? It says in Rome, they threw their kids off cliffs because the child had any minor defect or any characteristics that resembled any African features. Yes, a lot of cultures did that. Crazy, right? And Thunder says that no telling how she is treating her sons. They will be broken and weak men and let women run all over them. They will hate black women. I hope not. And Pioneer says black kids don't go through childhood. They survive it. Ooh, you said a word right there.
Especially the black girls. They survive it because it is horrific.
And Mommy says, what's happening in the dark comes to the light. Yep. And the Pioneer says, yes, I heard about the case in Chicago where the mother shot her 12-year-old son over a SIM card. They knew she was having mental problems, but we don't have any more mental hospitals for them. And that's sad, and we should. You know, but my thing is, too, people say, because even with the case with Nevaeh Allen, people say, well, you know, we know the stepfather was, you know, verbally abusive and this, that, and the other. It's like, and nobody thought to intervene. You know, maybe go, I don't know, call CPS. I know we hate to do that, but when you know a child is being abused, you need to do the right thing. Or say, hey, let me have the child for a couple of days or whatever till y'all figure it out. There's another, you know, like really get involved. Because I'm one of those people, and people will tell you about me. I don't get in people's business, but when it comes to the kids, F your business. Especially when I see kids not being treated right or whatever, I don't care. You can be mad at me. We can fight. We can do whatever we need to do. But I'm not going to sit back and watch a child be verbally or physically abused. So we need to have that in us, right? And Anastasia says, I honestly believe this is an issue with the myth of the strong black woman ideology. None of those things happen in a vacuum. Everyone's genes shouldn't live on. I agree with you. And nobody knows if the biological father was trying to get her. Maybe he was. You know, maybe she could have been one of those moms, you know, maybe she was getting a little check and she didn't want to let the check go. Or because you know, let the child go with the father, because it sounds like the father was involved in her life. And so maybe she was one of those moms, you know. And let's see here. Thunder says, I wonder if the same thing goes on in the trailer park, and if so, why is it not being talked about? Always seems like we always on Front Street. Yeah, it goes on in their community. But I don't want to say we're not concerned with their community, because the white media, they have enough outlets and enough resources and things like that will come to their aid and give attention to their things. But we don't have that, right? We talk about trivial things, you know, R. Kelly and whoever.
How about them Dallas Cowboys, the Lakers?
You know, all of that.
You know, craziness.
And Frank says monetary, and Pioneer says it's hard to believe an hour has passed already. You might have to give us an extra 30 minutes to make up time. Laugh out loud. We'll see about that. Leather and luxury cars. How you doing? And somebody says, Demetra, most are only outraged when society tells them to be. Yep. And that's the point I was always making about the R. Kelly thing. People weren't mad like they are now until Lifetime told them to be mad. Now I was like, oh, R. Kelly. It's like, but didn't I see you stepping in the name of love not too long ago? Now all of a sudden, Lifetime told you to be mad, and now you're mad. You know, so I agree with you. And Leather Luxury Car said, this is why I wish adoption on none. Okay, and then Marcus saying, you say,
I think he meant some, maybe some.
Okay, and then Marcus says, we are only outraged when we are giving permission to be outraged. If you look at the things that happened from Trayvon Martin up to R. Kelly, we were granted permission to be outraged for a time. This is why I equate us to the Walking Dead TV series. If you want to know what the future is going to look like, just watch the 10 episodes of that show, and you will see where we are headed mentally. Oh no, Honorable Elijah Muhammad called us the Walking Dead years ago, because we lack knowledge of self, and a lot of us don't want knowledge of self at all. And the pioneer says, I've been hearing some crazy things coming out of Lancaster, California. It's almost as if the new Compton, hold on a second. Where'd it go? He says, the new Compton, it seems to be the latest place where they ship Black folks from LA off to. Yes. And my father actually lives in Lancaster. He says they actually ship a lot of people who are inappropriate to children up there. You know, it's like this ship them there and get rid of them up there.
Yeah, you know, it's part of the high desert, and actually that's when they started gentrifying the area. That's where a lot of Black people were going because they didn't want to come out far where I live. But Lancaster's like the new Black area.
There's a lot of Black people there.
Yeah.
Olivia says, us women are not having sex with ourselves like that, Donovan. Stop blaming the woman alone. And Sunlight says, a man can't control where and when he plants his seed. I'm just saying.
Right. Now, wait, I want to go back to the question before. Notice how defensive immediately they go to the playbook. And I'm not like saying that. What I was saying is, yeah, both parties are responsible, but the bottom line is women are the gatekeepers. That you can't go around that. Unless the man takes it, you can't go around that.
But see, I hear what you're saying, that we are the gatekeepers, we decide, but y'all decide too. You know what I'm saying? And I just always wonder, why can't you be a good choice? You know what I'm saying? Because we put it all at the woman's feet and say, well, you should have asked questions. You should have knew he was this. But the dude knew he wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? And then when he gets caught up or whatever the case, it's like, well, you should have been asking more questions. You know, yeah. It's just like it takes two to tango.
Yeah, but that's on both sides. Men, we have to ask questions too. I mean, it's on both sides. But you know, at the end of the day, though, unless I take it from you, I can't control sex. I don't control the sex.
Sydney, they say it is the vetting process. Are we both asking the right questions before we have sex? And the key word is both. Both. And Olivia said, Donovan seems to be angry about his past so much that is messing up his mental. You are no longer on child support.
I like that. But no, it's not messing up my mental at all. Trust me, I'm getting mine.
And you also say, Donovan, we need the course to continue to change the tradition, quote unquote, of giving the child to the mother because she's a woman. Give the child to the parent who can give them a better life. Yeah, I mean, that might have something to do with, you know, especially if it's newborn, breastfeeding and all of that. And Jonelle says, it takes two to tango. Both should have the mind to accept and love the responsibility they produce. The problem is one or both want to shirk the responsibility, but enjoy the intercourse and then blame it on the alcohol when the responsibility comes. Exactly, right. And Cindy says, I actually learned I had to step away from abusive children situations. I was wearing scrubs and had a gun pulled on me. Ooh, Lord, have mercy. Be safe. Partner said, during custody battles back in the day, the children used to go to the mothers because they tend to have the most stable home for the child. That has changed over the past 30 years. So.
Yeah, and that's where I was going with that. You know, if the father is a little bit, give the child a better life, whatever. But right now, our laws are so archaic. It's in the best interest to give it to the child. The child's 9 years old. There's cases of abuse or the allegations of abuse or whatever's going on. The woman's living in a bad neighborhood, but the court still will not let the child go with a father or the other parent who might live in a better situation.
Got it. And Frank says, Donovan, true. That's why these kids are getting killed. It's a tradition to keep the kids with the raggedy moms. Cindy says, great question. It doesn't happen a lot more in the burbs than in our community. It just swept under the rug. Yes. And Frank says, condoms are cheap and morning after pills are available. No excuse. Or you could just abstain and stop laying down with people you aren't trying to have children with. I mean, you know, I think that's the one question that should be in everybody's mind. Okay. Hormones are going, it's hot, and ooh, she looking good. One of the questions you should ask yourself is that, okay, especially if you're in the reproductive, you know, you can still reproduce, right? Okay, self, while I will enjoy this 2 minutes of fun, do I want to spend the next 18 to 22 years, because you got to pay for college a lot of times, 18 to 22 years, paying for something that I didn't intend on having, and dealing with a person that I didn't want to deal with for 18 to 22 years. And not even that. I'm going to have to see he or she at the weddings, the
That's a
college
lifetime.
graduations,
Yeah.
the birthday parties. So I think those are, and the answer is no. Pull your dress down and pull your pants up and say, okay, that was cool, but I'm going home. I'm just saying.
I try to stop the narrative. People think it's only 18 years. When you procreate with somebody, that's for your life. That's the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. And Frank says she picks the man. Yeah, okay, so let's say she goes to Walmart, right? There's a man aisle, and she picks the man. The man still has some responsibility even if he is chosen. If he knows that she is a ratchet, a thought, or whatever you want to, put to her, if he knows that or he doesn't know that, why is he putting his seed in such a woman or a mystery woman? Why would you put something, and that's the kind of stuff that baffles me too. I hear people say, well, I'm not going to co-sign for this. I ain't going to do that, but yet you just let him hump and dump all over you for the last 2 nights in a row, something that's, more precious it should be than your credit. But yet, we don't see ourselves as being valuable. So you as a man still have a choice. You can't, I don't feel sorry for too many men who cry about child support. Not only do you have one, you got 2, you got 3 or 4 baby mamas, and you're giving all your money away to child support when you could have just said, baby look good, but I'm a pass. Even if she did choose you. Pioneer says, I actually love the Walking Dead television program and actually look forward to a zombie apocalypse. Well, I hope I ain't around when that happens. Sunlight says, if the courts were to flip the script, you would just see how many fathers don't want full custody. Is PJ trying
do
to
want?
She says, do not want full custody.
Go ahead, you're right.
It says, is PJ trying to get his kid, or is he on the next stop?
Yeah, PJ's trying to get his kids. He wants to see his kids. No, he's not trying to get him. He's trying to see him.
Well, who the hell is PJ?
That's that basketball player that got gaffled up by that IG model.
Oh, I'm like, who the hell is PJ? And Frank says, and what about mothers that take their kids from the father? Well, she's a horrible human being, but I'm going to say this too, and y'all going to get mad, but it is what it is. He's a horrible human being too, because can't no woman take your child, she can take a child, but a lot of men won't even fight for their kid. Oh, I can't get my kid. She took my kid. Well, how many times did you take her ass to court? How many times did you haul her before a judge or a mediator and say, she's taking my child, I cannot see my child, I want some custody, I want something to be done about me not being able to see my child? How many times has that man done it? A lot of times you talk to men, I can't take off work. I don't have the time. So stop.
Well, you got to remember too, also black men are have a stigma when it comes to the justice system. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just saying we do everything we can to avoid court.
But then how much do you really love your kids?
Right. Exactly. Trust me, I wasn't one of them. I was in the courts. Trust me. Matter of fact, they still got my picture up at the DA's office down here in Riverside.
Marty says, Donovan, please tell me what you think about black new law that passed before police is calling black people to go to jail. I think the law needs to be all over personally.
Well, California is one of the most racist states in the United States. So that law was there for symbolism. It doesn't really going to do anything.
Jonah says, this is why our young people need course in sex results and how to handle responsibility, who's grooming our youth for motherhood or fatherhood. We in the Nation of Islam, under the Honorable Minister Faraz Khan, teaches this groom and to groom the youth for reality. For example, the Minister 4-part series, How to Give Birth to a God. Our youth need these lessons, but they got bars, parties, and ignorance choices out of feelings instead of rationale. You're absolutely right. And so is the minister. I mean, we don't teach our children that. And I say this, my daughter's 28. And she don't have, I was looking because she hates when I tell her age. She doesn't have any children. And a lot of times people say, you don't have no kids. She's like, well, I'm not married and, kind of want to do it right. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's almost, that's the expectation that once you get a certain age, you're supposed to just have kids just falling out of the windows, right? But we should teach our children to be more rational and responsible. And Frank says mental problems, but she has registered guns. Right, excuse. Yeah, good point. Talking about the lady in Chicago. And Sunlight says, where did it go? He says, it's not the sex we are debating, it's the creation of life. Yes. And Pioneer says, sis, see, this is why Neely Fuller Jr. said that both Black men and women should ask over 150 questions before they even get in bed with each other. Laugh out loud. Yeah, they should. I mean, that's a temporary thing. Like I said, 2 minutes, bam. And what? I mean, I'm just saying. And Thunder says, as a man, you can't control where you plant your seed, the window or the wall.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I could have had more children, but the lifestyle that I chose, hey, I'm very selective and, you do what you got to do. So, yeah, there's a lot of responsibility, but there's a lot of irresponsible men out there. And I put a lot of heinous on men that are out there just having babies with all these random women in the neighborhood. I mean, a lot of you women are dealing with community dick. That's just the fact.
Sad situation. And Jafai says, blaming women for everything tells me that you don't think that men are capable of thinking responsibly for themselves. That doesn't look good for Black men.
Yeah, but again, see, that's what I'm saying. We're having a conversation. If you're listening, and and I love this conversation, I'm not blaming women for everything. I've constantly said both parties are liable. But the fact of the matter is, you can spin it any way you want, ladies. You are the gatekeepers of the sexual gratification. That's just the bottom line. Unless I take it from you, you guys decide who you have sex with.
I'm going to let y'all get them. I'm going to keep reading. And Olivia says, I'm done again. Donovan got me upset this time. I can't. Good night, everyone. See, Olivia, keep leaving. You got to stay. Stay.
Yeah, it was just a conversation. Like I said, I could be wrong. I just doubt it.
Frank says Cameron's dad wanted him. His mom knew, yes, because the mom and dad weren't together. And Pioneer says, Neely Fuller Jr. said, one of the most common terms you hear from dysfunctional Black couples get together is, I didn't know. I thought you just liked women. I didn't know you like women and men. Ooh, yes, that should be in one of those 150 questions you asking, right? Martin says this woman who let her daughter get murdered by ex-boyfriend should go to jail from gross negligence. Like now, she was wrong with the fake tears. Spare the dramatic, real tear to fall down face. And Cindy says morning after pill is not foolproof. That is true. Frank says the white man's telling y'all to be mad, shaking my head. And Anastasia, you say 2 minutes. Damn, yeah, I might be putting too much on it. Pioneer says, I didn't know. I thought men, I thought when we got married, both of us would keep our jobs. I didn't know you were planning to quit your job and expecting me to take care of you. Make sure you ask questions. Yeah, all of those things should be asked up front. And Jonelle says there's still a lot of slave ship plantation relationship going on. Yes, indeed. And the Pioneer says, I didn't know you were HIV positive. You didn't tell me that, but he can say, well, you didn't ask. Make sure you ask questions. Yeah, like I said before, a lot of people don't ask questions because we're afraid we're going to run the other person off. Well, if I just ask that question, he might get mad. Or if I put too much pressure, then he might not stick around. Well, then that ain't the dude for you or the woman. And somebody says, Donovan, exactly. PJ wants visitations, not full custody.
Right. And with that visitation comes visitation. You know what I mean? No. Cindy says, you know how much pee I turned down because of standards? Not every woman, not every woman you should pee. Say that again, brother, because like I said, I'm right here in California where the ratio is 7-1. I mean, I can get into some stuff, but no, can't do it.
Yeah, that's crazy. And Thunder says, man, if you don't want kids, get with a vintage woman or find one who has a hysterectomy, and then you can have all the cookie you want. That is a concept, or one that's gone through the change already, you know. Cindy says, I've been in your state, want to revise your comment, more racist state. You're joking.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people keep thinking California is this liberal state, whatever. I'm gonna tell you why I say that California is the most racist state. They doing for the Asians, they're doing for the Mexicans. What have they done for black folks out here? Absolutely nothing. Cops are busting black folks' heads left and right out here. I mean, it's just insane out here. So, you know, from my perspective, man, please. I mean, everything that you see here is a facade unless it's pertaining to black people.
Right. And the pioneers of Donovan, you're right, California is very racist. And like I said before, most of black men there have been locked up. Every other black man you see has those blue ink tattoos on their arms, those jailhouse tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, Kamala Harris was locking people up record numbers. She was only attorney general for what, 6 years, 4 years? And she locked up more people than any attorney general before her. So, I mean, you know, for people to think that this is a liberal state, if you really look underneath the bullshit, you will find California is very racist.
Angie Fire says, okay, you're not blaming women, but you're taking the responsibility from men.
No, men. Demetra will tell you this. I always say this. Men, I put more responsibility on men from the very get-go. You know, you moving in with a woman, you want half the rent. That don't make no damn sense. If you can't afford a woman, then you can't afford a woman. It's those Negroes that are messing it up for the real men out here.
And Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, I can see both sides of the argument, but if these women keep beating up on you, I'm going to have to get involved and have your back. You better bring that million man that he always be talking about.
Right. But see, here's the thing. This is what we need to get back to as black people. It's okay to have this conversation because guess what? Ideas are being put in my head and also ideas are being put into their head. I might not be right all the time, but I'm not wrong all the time.
And Freddie says, Demetra, the man is held accountable. I'm not saying that the courts and the white man remind us of it all the time, but the black woman isn't always held accountable. The child support stats are high.
Yeah, see, and that's my argument. Every time we try to hold I want to speak for black women accountable, my women accountable. Oh, how dare you say something? You guys go to this playbook, this imaginary playbook.
Well, that wasn't what we were doing, though. We weren't saying that black women weren't held accountable. But what we're saying is black women, especially when it comes to bringing in children into the world, is not just hers to shoulder alone. It's not. And, you know, me personally, as a woman, I get mad when I hear that argument because it's like, y'all, and I'm talking to y'all, need to start teaching your sons. Stop lying down with women you don't want kids with. Stop planting your seed and slinging your dang-a-lang all over the place, having children you do not want to have. Yes, big booty Belinda is the loose woman and she sleeps with everybody. But what does it got to do with you as a man? You have a choice in the matter too. My father always talks about men thinking with their little head opposed to the head on their shoulders. And so it's vexing because when you hear men always want to shoulder the blame on black women, since we talk about black women, well, where are y'all having these conversations with your sons? Stop doing that. Stop putting your seed in women that are problematic. We're not saying their women are not problematic. Yes, there's women who will have a baby with you for a check. There's a lot of women out there. There's a lot of women who will have a baby with you and take your black ass to child support court and try to get every dime you got. There's a black woman out there who will have a baby with you and will not let you see it and will allow the stepfather to abuse the child opposed to letting you have that child. So there's a lot of problematic women out there. But where are the conversations that you all as men are having with your sons and other men about steering clear of women like that?
Okay, great. I just wanted, I'll be real quick and brief on this one. You guys notice that Demetra always says her daughter is 28 years old and doesn't have any children. I have two sons. One is 29, just turned 29. The other one is 24. They don't have any children. Why? Because I've had that conversation with them. I've told them what to expect. I've taken them to a child support court and sat them down there that day and showed them what could happen to them. So we are on different sides. You're coming from a woman's perspective. I'm coming from a real man's perspective, vice versa. But we have the basically the same mantra. Exactly what you said is what I've already done.
Fabulous. And Thunder says, now if more men started dating vintage, the younger women would get upset, but oh, well, no child support or baby mama drama and a discount at Denny's for breakfast. Can we say winning? Yes. Get you a, what did y'all call me a couple of weeks ago? Wasn't a cougar. It was something crazy. I can't remember what it was. And Frank says, among women also, and the Pioneer says, a lot of people don't ask questions because they don't figure the other person would be honest and tell them the truth anyway. But you should be surprised what some people would admit to if you ask them. Very true. The church lady, how you doing? And somebody said, Demetra and Donovan, see, laugh out loud visitation means sex. That thinking right there is the problem. Laugh out loud. I'm glad you caught that. And Pioneer says, where'd it go? Hold on. California is a very racist state, but to keep it real, a lot of Black folks left California in the 80s. I used to live in Arizona, and nearly all of the Black folks I met there were from Cali.
Yeah, same thing in Las Vegas. You go to Las Vegas, everybody that you meet in Las Vegas was from California.
Yeah, Brother Sammy, how you doing? It says the old folks have something going on in courting, making each other produce the evidence that they are worthy of each other because their marriages lasted. Also, Donovan, you remind me of a joke my father used to tell when I was small, that when a woman had her legs crossed, he would safely, she said, I think he meant, she got the gates to hell closed. There you go. Okay. I like that. And Joel says, Joe Biden just gave Afghan refugees billions. Yes, we're going to talk about
$6 billion, $6 billion and more to come.
Yep, we're going to talk about it. And the church lady says, hey, the Pioneer family, Smoke Count for life. You say, love you and Donovan. Thank you both for keeping our community informed. Yes, indeed. And we love you as well. And Leather Electric Car says,
he's part of the problem. He's part of the problem in America.
Leather Electric Car says, amen. And Jafia says, preach, D. I'm trying. And Church lady says, men have the option to live their lives while we are left with the baby's facts. I see both sides. However, we as women should pick the right man to influence our kids. I see both angles. Yeah, that's definitely true. Leather Electric Car says, straight truth, Demetra. And Sunlight says, why is the female perspective always met with hostility? We are people too. Both, I repeat, both need to choose better. Yes.
Exactly. We're in agreement. We're in agreement. As men, we need to start vetting and thinking with the natural head versus the other head and all that other good stuff. Because like I said, I get tired of hearing these men talk about the system got me down. Oh, she got me on child. No, nigga, you got yourself on child support. She didn't put a gun to your head.
And Jonelle says, conversation provokes thought. Subject must be dealt with as the minister teaches us. When you look at a woman, you're looking at a responsibility, and a woman shouldn't be hitting for pleasure if he don't want no responsibility. A woman is a bill. Yes, indeed. That's what my father always says. No romance without the finance. And Jafia says, D, they are not having these conversations with their sons because 75% of them are not there for their sons.
Hey, like I said, again, you got to look at the conversation. Why is it that we always appeal to the lowest denominator of our community? When somebody always comes up to me, they go, hey, man, you know how it is in the hood. What would make you think I was raised in the hood? Do you see what I'm saying? So it's all about our perspective and how we see things.
The Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, I got your back when it comes to the attacks from the ladies in the chat, but if Demetra is attacking you, you're on your own. I'm not stepping through that door. Very wise man. Brother Sammy says, the Bible said to plant your seed in the fertile ground. Now that raised the question of what is fertile ground, right? You know, I mean, that's one of those 150 questions that Neely Fuller Jr. said we should be asking, you know. How fertile are you, Gloda Jean? And the church lady says, my kids have the same father and he sees them when he can because he works offshore for half a year and then he goes overseas and works. He's a top class welder. Okay.
Right. Now, church lady, would you say because of the fact that your husband has decided to be a provider, to provide for his family, that he's making the wrong choice because he's not there all the time with his children? Because that's the choice I had to make. I could not be there because I'm over here fighting wars, but I made sure my kids were financially taken care of, and I saw them when I could. See, so everybody has their way of raising their families.
Brother Sammy says, my 3 sons don't have children. Yes, I mean, and you know, it's odd that, and you probably get asked that too. Why aren't your kids? They ain't got no kids. It's like, well, are they supposed to? You know? And the church lady says, I must say, my kids' fathers are. Our fathers take good care of them financially, and he's always in touch with them, both he and his mother. Good deal. Brother Sammy says, I'm with you, Donovan. My sons are 28. They don't have any children either. And Cindy says, go back to the PJ. How many men told him not to mess with her, and he still did? Y'all talking about the Brittany chick?
No, PJ, the basketball player that with.
I'm saying the girl.
Brittany Renner. Yeah, Brittany Renner. Yeah.
But he didn't listen.
The WAP was too powerful.
And ain't she getting for him for like a bag?
$200,000 a month, and he hasn't even reached his full potential yet. God forbid if he gets hurt.
But he didn't listen. But so I guess that was his fault, right? I mean, her fault. Even though it sounds like maybe she was kind of in the industry a little bit.
Right, but see, I'm not mad at her because again, he was warned. How many of these young dudes are told this is what you're supposed to do? You don't need 5 houses. If you're gonna buy your mama a house, don't buy it. Don't lease it or whatever you're doing, and then you lose your contract and mama loses the house and she's homeless.
Hey Art, how you doing? And Pioneer says, like that movie, Which Way Is Up, when that woman was trying to kill Richard Pryor in the kitchen, Pops came in, saw it, and turned right around and told his son to let go of the door so he could leave.
That's right. Let go of this door, nigga.
Frank says, y'all saying black men aren't, and aren't what? Because your comment cut off. And let's see here. And then Jonelle says, we need more of these think tanks, informative, empowering. This is true growth. Yes, indeed. Iron sharpening iron. And Frank says, she's picking males, not men. Boom. Right. So she may be doing that, you know, but again, it's if you creating life, that's on both of y'all. Whether you a boy, a man, a girl, whatever y'all, that's on both of y'all. You know, to be a little bit more informed of who you're giving yourself to, right? And Frank says, those are males, not men. And you say vice versa. And Sunlight says, being a deadbeat dad is not synonymous with the lowest element. Remember, Steve Jobs was a deadbeat dad. I saw the movie. Yes.
Yep. Donald Trump's a deadbeat dad. The slave owner is one of the greatest deadbeat dads of all time.
And the church lady says, we're co-parents, but we get along. He's not wrong. He's doing what he must do to provide for the kids. Well, I mean, yeah, that's a different story. I mean, my father was a business owner. We saw him when he left to work in the morning and when he came home at night. He was out working, you know, but he was involved nevertheless. But my mom would stay at home, and so she did what stay-at-home moms and wives did, and that was take care of the household and the children.
You guys don't let Demetra be telling you guys stories right there. She be in contact with her dad on a constant basis. She's taking care of daddy.
Daddy?
And you want to know why? And you want to know why that is? Because you know that your dad took care of you.
Absolutely. And let's see here. Where was I at? And you reminded me of something. There was something I forgot to do for him. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And Frank says, none of my nephews have kids. My nieces do. Okay. Pioneer says that belief that all the belief that all women can or should be good mothers and wives is a religious concept. It leads to too much confusion because it forces people to try and put square pegs in round holes. Yeah, just because you're a mom or, you know, doesn't mean you're able to have a child, don't mean that you're going to be a great mom. So good point. And Anastasia says, my eldest is 26 years old and no kids, but people stay telling her she needs kids. I told her the devil is a liar. They just want you miserable and tied down like them. Yep, same thing to tell my daughter, when you're ready, you know,
right,
when the time is right.
Yeah, because a lot of my friends, they're already grandparents. Some of them were grandparents in their early 30s. And, you know, they're looking at me like, you ain't got no grandkids yet? Again, should I?
Right. And the church lady says, I feel like me as a mother, I got these kids. I just want him to be there when, be there for them when they really need him. I can handle the rest. If they want to spend time with him, I let them and him too. There you go.
See, and here's another thing. We're in the modern age. It isn't like when we were coming up to meet where you had to write a letter. Let's say your dad's in jail or whatever. You got all this internet, FaceTime, all this other stuff. There is no reason why kids and the father or the other parent should not have some kind of relationship, even if, you know what I mean? Where they can just interface. You got, SteamYard and all this other stuff that they can interface and do that. Because when I was overseas, this is how I would talk to my boys when I had time to talk to them. You got to make do with what you got.
Yep. And I says I'm 35 and I don't have any children.
Send me a DM in my box and we'll talk.
Thunder says, go over to the senior event and pick up Agnes and Gertrude. Take them out for the early bird special. Get back in time for the young and the restless. Rub them joints down with Big Gay. Yes, Lord.
True story. When I was down in the Dominican Republic, I was getting hit on by some older Dominican ladies. Trust me. And well, they look good though. I was like, maybe I should see what's up. And
Jonelle says, we have been bred to keep our minds in the worst part, which is degenerative. Brother Donovan, instead of raising our mental vibrations above our appetites, people are only as great as their thoughts and awareness, which motion their choice. We would be more empowered as a people if we were more enlightened, but our degradation is invested in and promoted. Yes, indeed. And Frank says, I don't see hostility. I'm glad. And let's see. So y'all talking to each other. And he says, my father was the provider and my future husband will be as well. Okay.
DM me.
You want DM? And the pioneer says, if the society stopped demonizing sex, prostitution, and promiscuity, then more people would be comfortable admitting that sex is all they wanted with no responsibility. Exactly. And Church Lady says, exactly, Donovan. And Pioneer says, I've been out with both Agnes and Gertrude at the same time. Trust me, I should have saved the money I spent at Denny's and on Ben Gay. I'll leave it at that. Laugh out loud. Well, we want to know. And Jafia says, laugh out loud, Donovan. Those old ladies are looking for American citizenship. Right, okay?
Wait. But she was the business owner. That was good. That was a good thing. She was the business owner.
I was going to say something, but that would have been me. April, how you doing? Since I'm 34. I may have no children. Life as hard as it is, have yet to find any man worth that much agony.
Yikes. See, and I see women like April. She, we're friends on Facebook. She's an attractive young woman, and it just makes me wonder, why is it that women like that, back in my day, I would be like the werewolf of London on the prowl.
Maybe that's why she's single. And Thunder says, there's a reason why Classic Coke won and is still around. I like that. Yes, indeed. And the Pioneer says, yes, those older women from the Caribbean are very sexy. And Frank says, Sunlight, I'm not going to assume. Okay, so y'all talk to each other. And you also say aren't held accountable. So yeah, that's the end of the comment. So let's go ahead and transition over really quick to that of Joe Biden. So you guys know that Joe Biden and Congress and all of those fools there in Washington were trying to pass the debt package or whatever it was to the tune of, originally it was like $3.5 trillion and it was stalled. And then of course a government shutdown was looming. And so, they compromised on certain things to get enough funded until December 3rd. And somehow they were able to slip in. So it was $28 billion went toward helping people who were caught up in Hurricane Ida and other natural disasters, and then 6.3 of that $1 billion of that went to help the Afghan refugees due to the wars that ensued between the U.S. and the Taliban. And so that's how they rolled it up. Like, well, this, because it was the war between the United States and the Taliban, we are going to compensate the Afghans that have come over here to the tune of over $6 billion. And so we know for a fact that the Afghans did not vote for Joe Biden overwhelmingly. It was Black people. Black people still have nothing, absolutely nothing specifically to show for it. And Moni, brought up the Haitians that they have sent back. Some of them are in Guantanamo Bay, but they sent about 5,000 of them back, negating the fact that the U.S. has helped destabilize their government as well. The earthquakes that took place recently and in 2010, the gangs have ran rampant over there in Haiti. So there's no resources. There's a lot of things going on over in Haiti, and some would argue the same thing in Afghanistan, right? And so what would be different? The difference is that the Haitians are Black, right? And so we've always known that Joe Biden is a Dixiecrat. He does not like Black people, never has, never will. He likes Black people long enough to get voted into office. But Joe Biden does not like Black people. He even stood in 1994 and said that he didn't care, and I'm paraphrasing, what happened to Haiti, if it rose or it fell, it doesn't matter to him. But yet they are giving Afghans all of that money. But yet you also have 50%, over 50% of the homeless population in the United States is that of Black people. I saw an article, I didn't read it. I saw the headline where it says it's Black people in this particular neighborhood. It says most of the Black people in an apartment complex are being evicted due to, the moratoriums ending and all of that. But yet again, they have given over $6 billion to Afghan refugees. And there's people over here in America that are suffering horribly, right? But yet Joe Biden is the president that lots of Black people went to vote for. And unfortunately, will go vote for again in 2014 when they manufacture another lie as to why they need to stay in office. Of course, you guys have heard a lot about Donald Trump saying he's coming back. He's, petitioned the courts to get his Twitter account back. And so that's what's going to be built on. We got to stop Donald Trump from coming back. But if you need more proof that Joe Biden cares not for Black people, I don't know what else you, as Black people, I'm not saying y'all because I know a lot of y'all didn't vote for Joe Biden, but I don't know what else you really need to see to know that he is not for Black people. And I'm going to say this too. So there's this thing going around that in 2022, if you are collecting, money through Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal, or any other source like that, you are going to be sent a 1099 if it's over $600 and so many transactions, this, that, and the other. And that is proposed by the Joe Biden administration. And it's going to freak a lot of people out. They're saying, well, if it's just a gift or somebody's paying for dinner, then you don't have to. But they're trying to catch people who are underreporting the income. And what they're doing basically is trying to stop, this is my opinion, the little man. And I said this to my daughter, and I don't care if y'all get mad, but I'm so tired of Joe Biden. I'm tired to the point of Joe Biden that if Donald Trump did come back, I probably would vote for him. Now, I didn't vote for Donald Trump last time, but the things that Joe Biden has done, and this is like his first year, not even his first full year of being a president, and he has continuously showed Black people his flat booty, continuously giving us the bird and all of that, and yet we are still pondering if Joe Biden is going to do something like he gave people who don't even live here billions of dollars, sent the Haitians back where there's no food, no resources or any of that, and really can't tell you why they did it, but we see why they did it. So I'm going to say that again, that if Donald Trump were to come back, I probably would vote for him because I am tired of Joe Biden and I personally want his ass out of there now.
So wait. So let me get this straight. You are going to be voting for Joe Biden for the same reason Democrats got rid of Donald Trump. You just want his ass up out of there.
I gave you my reasons why I want him.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in general.
No, ain't no general. I was very specific in that I'm tired of Joe Biden, and even if he wins again, it will not be because of me. I didn't vote for either one of them, like I said. But if it means that Donald Trump gets his ass up on the stage and he wants to become president again, I don't like Donald Trump. But at least Donald Trump didn't do the black people what Joe Biden is doing to black people. And so if it means for me putting a check mark by Donald Trump's name if he runs, then so be it. And I don't care if people are mad. But you know what? Y'all gonna be more mad at me for saying what I just said than you are at Joe Biden, who has done nothing specifically for black people and will do nothing specifically for black people and will continue to do stuff for other people who have not endured all of the things that we have endured in America from our ancestors on to this very moment. So if you're more mad at me for me saying that, then I don't know what to tell you.
Well, but Demetra, he stood by us because we stood by him.
Ooh.
Joe Biden, he's got our back.
Let me read these comments. Good Lord. Let's see here. Where'd it go? And the pioneer, let's see, there we go. He says, it seems as if there's something about all of that sunlight and salt water in the air walking around so much that keeps those women in good shape and with great figures, even at an advanced age. Okay, and Samuel, how you doing? He said, the sand ran out of the hourglass for R. Kelly. Yes, no more R. Kelly. He's gone. And Thunder says, Jim Crow Joe, the Klansman from Scranton. Biden, yes, that's him. And Pioneer says, Queen, those deadlines and threats of shutdown was fake as hell. It's just another way to waste time and money. They had this plan all along to pretend the government would shut down.
Yeah, you know, Pioneer, I always ask people, these guys are in government. Why do they wait to the last minute to do shit that they're supposed to do from the very beginning?
Right, it's all the game, all of it. And the church lady says, Joe Biden, aka Mr. Reptilian, needs to give up his position. He's doing a terrible job. That he is, especially in regards to black people. And Donovan, you say legislation that we did not ask for was given to us. Hip hop day and Juneteenth. Who the hell asked for that? And butter biscuits, you know, some of us. And Brotham, how you doing? It says, hello, everybody. Black first, yes, indeed. And Donovan said Joe Biden calls Klansman James Byrd of West Virginia his leader, his mentor. Yes. Pioneer says, more so than the treatment of the Haitians by Joe Biden, I am more disappointed at how some of our prominent black people on social media demonize the Haitian people these past few weeks. Yeah, just doing the most. In the Mix Radio, how you doing? He says, salad bar looks good. Yes, it does, doesn't it? I think I'm going to have one when I leave off of here. And the church lady is saying, we got some bad karma coming our way. The way we allowed these Haitians to be done, I wish we could have came out there, guns ablazing to save the day for those Haitians. Too bad I'm not a superhero. And Donovan says they have already, let's see. He says they have already restructured your banking deposits. They have categorized it. Check it out. Yes. And the church lady says, I'd rather Trump than Biden on any day. Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. Like I said, I'm not apologetic about it. Pioneer says, I saw one black show, a host after another, telling Haitian migrants to hold their own nuts. I know who you're talking about, ridiculing them, telling them to go to Africa, etc. Yes, these are the same black folks who scream black first, black first. Yes, indeed. And Anastasia, you say the debt ceiling BS was kabuki theater. And aside from that, they know they'll still get paid. They will furlough or fire the workers, but those senators will get their green every day, all day.
Yes. A lot of people don't know that the debt ceiling is something fake. It's like inflation. It's just something that was generated to get you and me upset, and they can do whatever they're going to do. It has no bearing on anything.
Yeah, so we're like $24 trillion or something like that now. And Vaughn, how you doing? Says Trump was trying to drain the swamp. Yes, indeed. And Jonelle says, teach, Queen, I'm trying. Pioneer says it's so-called black first people can ridicule and be so callous toward black folks in Haiti. Make no mistake, they'll do the same thing to foundational black folks too, and we'll find another reason. And Vaughn, you say Trump got my vote. And I think a lot of black people are just saying, you know what? Last time I didn't vote for either one of them, but this time I'm gonna do it because Joe Biden should not be able to continue, or any Democrat for that matter, make a mockery out of black people, and we just keep taking it. It's crazy. And the Mixed Radio says Biden is set to spend billions on Afghan people. Yeah, over $6 billion.
And set them up in our communities so they can take the money out of our communities for the benefit of themselves. They are going to give them everything they need to be a successful, what do you call that, buffer group.
Bumper class. And AMX Radio says Biden and is the worst. And Brother Samuel says also I still over 64,000 for 14,000 of student loan debt that should have been paid off due to my teaching in a shortage area and subject. Yeah, that stuff they be lying to about that. And even Joe Biden said, well, he was thinking about excusing some of the student loan debt, and now he said he's not going to do it, and he's not even talked about it yet. But yet we can supposed to continue showing up because they said getting rid of student loan debt would tremendously help Black people because we hold the most student loan debt.
It would help, and it would help everybody because all these white folks have debt too. So it isn't just a Black issue,
right? And Leather Election Card says, I don't usually vote, but Trump is looking way better than Biden. I think I mean, that's where I'm at with it. It's like, okay, now they was already doing the most, but now it's just like, okay, you know what? I got you. And the church lady says, exactly, Demetra. And in the mixed rate, it says Biden was worse. Yes, and we tried to tell them, didn't we? Javai says, and any all-Black foreigners who came into this country ends up hating on Black Americans. So personally, I don't have a problem with them being denied interest to this country. Well, I have a problem with them being denied interest into the country because because they are Black. And I have a problem with them doing it to them and allowing everybody else to come in. But to your other point, and Brother Phil made the point as well, in that, they engage in a lot of tribalism, especially in their other countries. And when they come over here, it works, but it don't work because for one, they try to engage in tribalism against us. And it's like, okay, well, when you come over here and you're suffering like they did recently, and it's like, and Black people don't jump and help you, it's like, well, I mean, sometimes y'all do kind of, thumb your nose at Black people. And so I kind of get the hold your own nuts analogy. And maybe next time they'll think twice before they come over here and try to thumb their nose at Black people, right? Because we all Black, regardless of where we come from. And Sunlight, he says, Donovan is not the same because the Dems couldn't give any any direct impact on Blacks from Trump. Okay, and NIU says Biden believes in the free lunch. Okay, and then Pioneer says, sis, like Donovan said, voting for Trump over Biden is doing the same thing Black folks who voted for Joe Biden, which was just voted for anyone to get Trump out. That's not what I said. I was very deliberate and specific in what I said. I didn't say I wanted to get him out just because and shrug my shoulders. I gave some key points as to why he needed to go. So I ain't one of those people just vote Donald Trump just no matter what. I gave my reasons. Like a lot of Negroes, you ask why you voted for Joe Biden, they said just to get rid of Trump. They couldn't tell you any other definitive reasons why they want to get rid of him. But I ain't that girl. I'm very crystal clear when I make a decision for the most part. Leather Election Cards, you say, who, and Robin, how you do? He says, who cares if people get mad at you for saying what you just said, Demetra? Biden needs to go, period. We are doomed if he stays in office. Yeah, I mean, what else do we need to see from him, right? Pioneer says, aren't our people tired of choosing Satan over Lucifer, leaving the plantation just to march over to another plantation? I think it's better to just hold the vote than vote for the other one. You know what? We could do that too, or we could show Joe Biden and the Democrats, you know what? We tired of you effing us over. We tired of you doing what you're doing to us. And so we're going to vote for the other dude, right? Because you got in and lied and said you were going to stand by what you already knew was a lie. But you just continuously show Black people everywhere that you do not give a damn about Black people. And so we voting for Satan over Lucifer, yeah, but like, why are y'all chastising me and not chastising the other people who got us in this situation in the first place that let's vote blue no matter who and all of that.
We got the vote. Yeah. Hey, and the midterms that is coming up very, very quick, that's going to tell you a lot. It is going to be a massacre in those midterms.
Yep. And in the mixed radio says, I'm sorry, they say Biden is the son of the Omen 666. Well, damn. And you also say a lot of Haitian people who already have shown hate toward us. Yeah, well, maybe they'll, rearrange their understanding about us now that, they see that the man don't love them either. And Anastasia says, we didn't do nothing. Those white folks and whites aligned people did that. And let's see, in the church, they says, sure is a pioneer. This country has a lot of bad reaping to do. Yes, And Anastasia says, dude, Trump wasn't draining no swamp. He is the swamp. He just said the quiet parts out loud. He advanced the Republican agenda of tax cuts for the rich and the birth dearth. Well, I mean, again, I'm not in love with Trump. I didn't vote for him the last time, but if it means helping to get Joe Biden out of office for the reasons that I stated, then I'm with it.
Yeah, yeah, you know, you're bringing up the tax cuts. What do you think this infrastructure bill is? It's another way to shovel money into rich white people's hands. It's the same thing. It's even more. It's even more of your tax dollar that's not going to benefit us. We're not going to get any benefit from this.
Yeah, and that is true. And in the mix radio says, if no tangibles are on the table, no vote. Yeah. I mean, that's the way it should be, right? Pioneer says, I mean, being whipped. Okay. And then Sunlight says, tribalism preach. Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. And then the mix radio says, Garcelle of The Real hate on black men all the time. Mona Scott Young produced that horrible show, Love and Hip Hop. Yes, indeed. And Mona says, good night, the Pioneer. Talk to you Thursday. Okay. And then Wins Fair Claw, I hope I said that right. He says, I believe what Malcolm said. Democrats, little smiling fox, Republicans, growling wolf. I still wouldn't vote for Trump because he's with the for us, only we are for us. Yeah, I mean, you know, I shit, trust me, I agree with that. You know, they're both bad for business, but I think really the point that I'm trying to strongly make is enough of Joe Biden. I mean, what else do you guys need to see? You know, there is no lesser of two evils. They're all the same, but damn.
We just got to get behind Kamala then. We just got to get behind woman power because Kamala's going to come in there and she's going to get all of this stuff straight because the men have been screwing it up for years.
Nanda says 100. And in the mix radio says, Roland Martin hate foundation of Black Americans and he's Haitian. Angela Rice so dry. Damn, is Haitian and she undermines foundation of Black Americans. Yeah, those two are very, very much agent-like people. Agent.
And then she's quiet now. She was all up under Kamala's skirt. Now she's quiet.
Right. Until it's time to trot the Negroes out again for elections. And Intermix Radio says, right on Sunlight. And Georgia Rose, how you doing? And Asada, how you doing? He says, there's no way I'm holding my vote. Biden and many of them Dems need to go. And that's where I'm at. They need to go. Need to go. Y'all can be mad if you want to. But, you know, like I said, I think pretty logically most of the time. And I've thought about this for a minute. And when, as you say, I can't vote for anyone, the Democrats or Republicans choose, we need our own. Yes, we need our own, but we're not working toward that. You know what I'm saying? That's obviously the optimal thing we need to do, but we're not working toward that. We're vote blue no matter who. And what 20% of Black voters voted for Trump, and it was an uptick from the year, the election before. And so we are not doing that. We're overwhelmingly voting for the Democrats. And the Democrats are overwhelmingly showing us their behinds, whether it's the president, it's our Congress people, our Black Congress people. They just keep showing us their behinds. Like, you know, James.
Next time, y'all, we ain't got the numbers. We ain't got the numbers.
Yeah.
We got 53. We ain't got the numbers. But James, 2 people are holding up all the legislation.
Yeah, or James Clyburn. He is the Democratic Party's boy. And he's like, well, I would be okay with them taking off qualified immunity. Well, hell, what good is a George Floyd bill if qualified immunity is still there? I mean, like, that would help stop the wholesale murder of Black people if officers were actually held accountable personally for doing that. But that's the number 3 person in the Democratic Party who's been there forever, a Black man, who has said he's okay with taking that off, and y'all continuously want these Democrats in office? Why?
You better shut up, Demetra, because you're not going to be coming to the damn fish fry. No fish fry for you.
But you're mad at Trump, but you're not mad, or just, and I'm not saying y'all, but I'm saying in general, y'all just not just as mad at the Democrats for continuously not doing anything. And you know, I'm still mad about all these people, even somebody in my family who gave me hell over not voting for Biden. Gave me hell. I was everything but a child of God, and they ain't said a word, not a word about what he has done and not done for Black people. It's crazy. Pioneer says, since voting for Republican over Democrats aren't going to show Joe Biden anything and won't teach them a lesson because both are the same on the same side, the best solution is to form our own party. I get it. But in all of these years, we haven't done it. You had all these other people, the Green Party. Yeah, I don't know if that's our party per se, but you have all these other people who try to form parties to get on the ballot. And I'm not, that's a waste of a vote. That's split. We won't do it. We won't do it. So, I get it. And Rick, see how you doing? He says, good evening, fam. George Floyd's statue was defaced again. Although that sucks, at the end of the day, who cares? We didn't receive tangibles, but the stairs are used as our participation awards. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, we get statues and stuff, but nothing tangible, nothing we can eat on, right? And let's see here. Let me get to the rest of these comments. I know we went over Pioneer. And you also say, Pioneer, this has nothing to do with foundational Black Americans or Black first. It's about a bunch of half-educated Black folks who have a bloodlust for their own and look for any excuse to attack other Black folks. Well, that message really needs to go both ways in everybody's ears, because it's not just Black people over here. It's Black people in a lot of places who, as Brother Phil said, engage in tribalism, And Thunder says, the best thing we could do is start our own party, but for now, let's hold that vote and let them know we are holding the vote, so that way they can't say it's some type of fluke, those rotten bastards, or send the message loud and clear to the Democrats. Then if Donald Trump gets his orange self on the ballot, then you know what, and that's not just me. I know a lot of Black people who would never admit it, but they would vote for Donald Trump if he got his ass back in office because they're sick of it. And we all should be sick of it. For real. And Anastasia Killer Mike said it, we are slaves arguing over whose master is better. And you know what? I'm not really a big fan of Killer Mike either, because Killer Mike talks a lot of stuff, but he's in bed with the man too. He got y'all out there believing he's got a Black bank, but look at his board of directors and you tell me if that's a Black bank. So yeah, Killer Mike says a lot of things, but I'm just saying this here. Joe Biden has gotten into office lying as most of them do, but damn, in his first year, he showed us his backside and he's not even apologetic about it. I mean, so why, like I said, why y'all mad at me for talking about I'm entertaining voting for Trump, but y'all ain't mad at Biden in there, thumbing his nose at Black people?
Everybody else got something. Why is it that we can't get nothing? Everybody's cool with everybody else getting something, but we can't get it. And they get it on the first try. Overwhelmingly, both sides.
Right. And Wayne says, we have the numbers if we all vote or don't vote. And I would be cool with us not voting, but we all ain't going to do that. We're just not. Because we believe
young folks need to wait y'all turn. I bark for Martin Luther King.
Yeah, all of that. And it makes, so you're talking to Pioneer, and somebody says, Killer Mike needs to follow his own advice. He backed Bernie Sanders, who was anti-Black. That's what I'm saying. Like, I get it. We keep talking. Killer Mike is just the loudest, biggest dude with the bullhorn, but he moves funny too, right? He got a little good some sound bites and all that other stuff. But Killer Mike moves really funny too. And you're right, he was a staunch Bernie Sanders supporter. And Bernie Sanders wasn't talking about reparations either, even though he was signed on for his people getting some reparations. So, and Thunder says, whenever I tell people to hold the vote and not vote Democrat, they always say, well, the Republicans aren't going to do anything. You're not getting nothing anyway, so why give them a vote to get nothing? Well, I mean, that's true too, but I'm firmly that Biden needs to go. And if it worked for y'all talking about well, blue, no matter who, then it should work for me too.
Yeah, and you got to think strategically. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So if the Democrats ever want to win again, they're going to have to make some concessions now, aren't they?
Yes, indeed. You know what? I skipped over some comments. Hold on. Let me get back to some. I saw somebody. Daphne, how you doing? I'm sorry. I skipped over your comment. How you doing? And let's see, here's somebody else too. I don't know how I did that. And in the mix, no. And somebody said, Donovan, please don't skiwi out your seat. Laughing is too painful right now. In the mix, radio says, Roland was quick to attack foundational Black Americans, but he won't call out his man crush Joe Biden, Jim Crow Biden. No, he won't do it at all. I mean, he was crying when
he sent a tweet. He sent a tweet.
But
hey, could y'all do something?
Did he cry like he did when he went to
No,
he drove up to
course
the voting and hoo, these people are there?
Of course not.
And Jabari says, buy this casket ready so he doesn't give a fuck what you think of him. Exactly. Like, and the Pioneer says another thing, why are people calling Black folks who were born and raised in America immigrants? How the hell are Black folks born here immigrants? Are some of our people crazy? Yeah, I don't know who's doing that. And Thunder says the Democrats have the House and the Senate and the presidency, and they still couldn't get it done for us. Wake up, people, hold their vote and break their backs. Yes, in the Mixed Radio says the Congressional Black Caucus are immigrants who work against foundational Black Americans, and that is largely true. And Wynn says, F Kamala, and I second that emotion. And David, you say, the Democrats need to be shook up. They know most Black people will vote anyway for them. A shame. Yes. And Pioneer says some of our people have been brainwashed into hating their own people and are looking for any excuse to do so. Over half of Black folks in the U.S. have Caribbean roots because of the slave trade. Yep. And Rick C says, good evening, fam. George Floyd statue was the face again, although that sucks. So I read that. Okay, I read that. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, because I knew I had skipped a bunch. It was weird. Where'd it go? Okay, and then wins, you say if we all vote or none of us vote Democrat or Republican, over 50 million votes wins. Then says, so don't vote for the Democrats because nothing for nothing leaves nothing. You got to have something if you want to vote for me. Yes, indeed. Billy Preston. David, you say the Black carcass dead. And Anastasia says, we voted green because we didn't vote for races, whether they have a D or R after their name. Yes, indeed. The Green Party, they had a Black VP on there as well. And we actually interviewed her on the War Zone. I don't know if you guys were able to catch that. And Javaya says, Black people need to learn how to focus their energy on things that are beneficial. Being mad at a white woman for cussing out Denzel did not warrant the attention it got. Yeah, I didn't get that at all. And in the Mixed Radio says, Asia's got tangibles in the crime bill that targets us. Yep. Pioneer says, you don't call Donald Trump or a German or Joe or an Irishman, but want to call Roland Martin a Haitian or the Black congresswoman for Texas, Jamaican, and they are born here. I mean, they both white to me. And when it says he's not showing us his backside, he's showing us who he really is. Crime Bill Joe. Yep, absolutely. But I'm saying he's just unapologetic about it, like, so what?
Well, I mean, but why shouldn't he be that way? He doesn't have to worry about the Black vote. He's going to get that overwhelmingly. So that's almost like knowing you're going to go to your grandmother and she made all those cookies, and she's going to give it to you because you're the grandchild. So why should you have to do anything?
Yep. And in the Mixed Radio says Killer Mike is door broken, and David says fire the Black carcass, and Robin says if Trump runs, he's definitely getting my vote. I'm going to be the blackest card carrying Trump supporter there is. I don't care. And in the Mixed Radio says Roland is Haitian first, then Black second. You also say, where are all the bisexuals at now? I don't know. They're missing. Sunlight says, correction, Roland is Democrat first and Haitian second. There you go. Pioneer says this has nothing to do with Black immigrants or Black first. It's about Black ignorance. The same ones bashing the Black ignorance. Immigrants will do the same to their own people. Just watch them and their behavior. Okay. And Robin says, Roland has never said that he's a Black man. Okay, and Wayne says our parents 40 and over are the issue. Almost all of our people and they vote are blue, no matter who. Yep. In the Mixed Radio, he's talking to Pioneer. And Sunlight says second generational is a real term. Second gen is a real term. Okay. And Thunder says, I find it amazing we can get together to destroy something like Pull Up Summer, but we cannot get together to create something unless it's chaos. Well, let's create chaos. Hold the vote. I hold the vote. Absolutely. And that's a good note to leave up out of here. Well, Pioneer, you almost got your extra half an hour. You got almost 20 minutes. But we're about to get out of here because I got some things to do. But I will be back along with Donovan on Thursday and Friday for Free Flow Friday and Don't Believe the Hype. As always, if you guys have something you want to talk about, inbox or email us or whatever you need to do. And we will discuss it because we don't catch everything. I want to thank YouTube and Facebook for being the other side of the conversation and having this very enlightening conversation with us. I'd also like to thank Marcus Guy for everything he does behind the scenes on Facebook to help the show go further. And again, we do have a Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo if you're interested in donating to the show, becoming a member, or hitting the super chat. Every bit that you guys donate helps in keeping the show moving. And, you know, my brother was on the other day and he says, you know, it does help to compensate for our time. It makes this 2+ hours or so that we do 3 days a week more, you know, palatable, if you will. And thank you to those of you guys who have donated, and those of you guys who want to and just don't have to do. We also appreciate you. So Donovan, what say you before we get out of here?
Man, another spirited, great discussion on a Sunday with the Demetra Kaye and the Demetra Kaye Show. We appreciate you guys. We, you know, I've taken some notes from some of the comments from you guys. Like I said, you guys are the third wall. Is that the fourth wall? Would that be the fourth wall?
You're the actor.
Okay, well, yeah, well, it would be the third wall the way I look at it. So being the third co-host, we really appreciate you guys sharing your time with us. And just do us a favor, you know, if you know, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And so let's get the word out so we can get people to at least think about the actions that they're doing that's going to affect so many of us out there.
Yes, indeed. All right. So yes, thank you all. We will see y'all next week. You guys have a great, safe week, and do something fun. Peace.